It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and
Dave?
they can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off?
Yeah,
we know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God! It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. I am your host, the infallible Phil Marks.
Fucking Mark!
And it is time for hashtag DMDMW on tonight's show. We have Dave Meltzer fighting with JD from NY. We have him burying Billy Gunn for no reason. Coping about TNA being number 2. Arguing with folks and a whole bunch more. On top of that, I got into it with Robbie Fox from Barstool today a little bit, who was hating on Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. So maybe if we have time, we'll get into that as well. So everybody, make sure you put flutes in the chat. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, heart, retweet, rate us 5 stars, whatever. Appreciate you. And make sure you get flutes in the chat because it is time for everybody's favorite segment. So nice, it turned into its own show. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. And probably no bass Meltzer, but we'll put it through one time. So Dave Meltzer, man, he did a lot of arguing and being proven wrong and whatnot. And he gets his card pulled on a bunch of stuff this week. And it's quite funny. Now, we don't have any egregious star ratings because, again, those are mundane. I mean, the guy, it's just obvious. And another thing that's obvious is, you know, the way that he likes to stooge for WWE and protect AEW. And I have a brilliant example of that, starting with the recent free agency talks. And, of course, Tommaso Ciampa showing up last night. Time Cop! In AEW and making his debut challenging Mark Briscoe. And so people, the dirt sheets, are running around all patting themselves on the back. This extends to beyond Dave Meltzer here, but they're all patting themselves on the back because they're all like, oh, this guy knew and said Ciampa would be gone and da-da-da-da-da-da. Where were the rollouts? Where were the graphics? Will Hobbs got a whole ass Fightful graphic confirmed by Sean Ross Hopp. Confirmed. Will Hobbs going to WWE. Nobody said shit about Tommaso, and Dave tried to throw everyone off the scent. Tommaso Ciampa indicates his plans to go back to working independent shows after leaving WWE. Bryan, you know, it's like except Bryan, there is talk of him trying to get into New Japan Pro Wrestling. What? And then he shows up immediately on Dynamite. So Dave trying to throw people off the scent, but then when it comes to Evil, he just goes, New Japan officially announced Evil leaving. Not announced, but headed to WWE. Now, this is one of many tweets, by the way. And again, we have a clip. So Dave just loves to stooge one way or the other. It's so obvious, his intention and what he does. And so here's Dave talking about Evil and Tommaso Ciampa's debut. And I just want to pull up this clip here. We got a bunch, guys. It's an overloaded, jam-packed show. So Dave pretty much buries Evil. Now, there's stories out there that Tony Khan apparently hates Evil.
Best guys, Tony Khan.
Dave also hates Evil. What a coincidence, you know? And a lot of people, a lot of New Japan fans, I guess, hate on Dave as well because his influence over New Japan has sort of tarnished it as well. But one guy that gets a lot of hate from Evil, or pardon me, from Dave, is Evil. And it just so happens Tony also hates Evil, or doesn't like him. Maybe hate's a strong word, but Dave's precise words were doesn't like him. And it's like, why? Did he personally offend him? Or, and then some people are like, oh, the House of Torture shit was corny. But it's like that. It's just Moxley. They're just doing what the Death Riders do, but in New Japan. And cooler. But yeah, Dave is burying Evil before he goes to WWE, gets ahead of things, talks shit about Evil, reveals that he's going to WWE allegedly, if we're to believe Dave, but it's kind of obvious, but he just gets right ahead of it. He's going to be in WWE. It's confirmed, just blowing up his spot as much as possible. And then with AEW, he thinks he's being slick by being like, oh yeah, Champ is going to go to New Japan and all this stuff. And then you don't expect he shows up. Then it's like a moment for AEW, even though they shit on moments. All the sickos and Dave, they go, oh, it's just moments and stuff when they criticize WWE. So again, I don't really care where Evil goes, you know, just being perfectly honest. But yeah, if he came into WWE and was like a Rusev guy or whatever, he just comes in and puts some guys over and just has some Haas matches, like, or whatever, you know, I'm with it. And he could go work in Noah if they need him to, or just help work in NXT, get some guys over. I'm okay with all that.
But let's talk about Evil heading to WWE.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it could go one of many different ways.
I think the most important story is that this is not the end of the House of Torture. Ren Narita is taking over.
Yeah, of course.
Thank God it can continue on with Evil leaving New Japan.
You know, when Tanahashi first became president, the number one complaint that he got was House of Torture. And they took that as, oh, God, it's getting great heat because look at all these complaints. And, you know, I mean, if the heat was off the chart.
Yeah, it's cope because they're just trying to do Death Riders type shit out there because of Tony Khan and that whole. That's my theory, anyways, because Tanahashi and Tone love each other.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
It's great. And if business was doing great, then you say that. When business isn't doing so great, I don't see it as a big success. He can speak English, but I mean, he's a good wrestler. He's
a good wrestler. He can speak English. He's got size. He's got a look. He's been a former IWGP World Champion, but he won the belt when I thought Ospreay should have won it first. Bryan,
not a outstanding wrestler. You know what I mean? It's not like his ability.
The fuck does that even mean? What does this shit even mean, man? So I got to bury Dave Meltzer. So you're just burying this guy. He's not like a good wrestler. What? Fuck you talking about?
He is so far above people that he's going to make a difference.
He's so far above people that he's going to make a difference. I don't see anything with. He's going to make a difference. What guy has gone to AEW, had banger matches, and made a difference? I'll flip it. What guy has gone to TNA, had banger matches that everyone's like, oh, bangers? Like, yeah, Nick Nemeth had some bangers, but were they getting glazed online the way these Fletcher matches get glazed, or some of the AJ versus Cena even, or some of these Punk matches? Fuck no. So what does that even mean, man? And then meanwhile, Ospreay hurts himself, and then Dave goes, God, I wish he should just work like a slower paced out. He could just work like Top Guy speed, essentially, is what the Usos and Roman and them call it. So it's he could just be a good why does that not make he could just be a good hand who helps get guys over? Why does that make him not a good wrestler? It's just insane that he buries guys like this. And why? Because he's going to WWE. And do I think Dave would actually talk shit on this guy if he went to AEW? Yeah, a little bit, because he talks shit about Lashley and blah blah blah. But this is just this is the thing. Dave's influence like trumps all. It's not that Tony won't like work with guys that Dave doesn't like. He strongly is considering everything Dave's saying, though. And this is how Dave influences people. Like, there's a bunch of folks online just trashing Evil for no reason. Probably haven't even watched him work. 40-year-old Ciampa shows up in Dynamite. Everyone's like, man, bangers, Ciampa versus fucking Omega, man. Evil, what are you guys seeing? People calling him trash and stuff, saying that he's like 41 and fucking garbage wrestler and all this shit. Meanwhile, he didn't get to the title doing that House of Torture shit. That came after. And it came after when Mox is doing this dumb shit. I don't think it's a coincidence. It comes after when Mox is doing this dumb shit. And then they create sort of their own Death Riders, and they help facilitate Jack Perry, who's like ostracized from the fucking industry and goes away. For a long time, he's just gone. Had to go to Japan after the Punk shit. So he goes to Japan. He's like, I'm Raven, pretty much, trying to be this fucking cool hardcore guy. And it just doesn't work. They put him with this cool hardcore faction that's not really working. And Moxley's we're cool hardcore guys doesn't really work. And Dave is like, oh man, House of Torture just ruined Nuge, and they got this bad feedback, and then Tanahashi just didn't listen to it, and it's on him. Well, if that's the case, then he's real tight with Tony McCann. Or Tony Ron, right? So I just don't I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I just think you can put one and one together.
Stands out to where he's going to be much of a difference maker as far as like a guy, I mean, sure, he can be a guy. He's fine. And there's more money in WWE than New Japan. I mean, it's a blow because it's a top guy leaving. So even though, you may not like House of Torture, as far as, star power merch, I mean, he was a fairly decent merch mover. And he was a star, on the shows.
The ability to get over Aaron Wolf.
Yes, exact. Thank you, Brian. Brian trying over there, at least. Instead of crying, he was trying on this clip.
That was really good. He was really good there. I mean, like, he was the best guy.
Yeah, the best. He was the best guy. Oh my God.
That was really good. He was really good there. I mean, like, he was the best guy in the company for that role. Yeah.
The new best guy, Brian. Oh man.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
That match was really good, but again, Dave was like, this guy he was just talking about how fat he was and shit, like Aaron Wolf. But yeah, that match, like Aaron Wolf handled that really well. And that's what I'm saying. That's why, if you guys want to know why Evil should be in WWE and is gonna work in WWE, and if you want to see how good Aaron Wolf is, just go and watch that match from Wrestle Kingdom. Try and find it. I'm sure it's somewhere. You just type it into Google. Get a VPN or some shit, nordvpn.com/ProWrestleTimes, and watch that match, because that's why Evil will work in WWE. Like, he just knows how to work and do. If you know how to do spots and shit, like, you're gonna be good for almost any TV show. It's just like knowing where to be and shit, I guess, is like what I'm trying to get at. And Evil does that really well. Aaron Wolf did that well. I point that out with a lot of guys too, like Trick Williams. He just knows where to be. The rest of it's going to come along. Like, he just has the instincts down that are going to make him like a good TV wrestler. It's all the reps in NXT, and that's why, like, Javon, I know Brian spurgs out about why is Javon in NXT so long, and I'm glad he's called up. Hopefully he heals up, but it's like, that's why you get those reps in NXT. Like, you're working all the time. And once you get to Raw, it's like, once a situation happens on live Netflix, you know how to handle it. You've had so many reps. I know that these two old chuckle fucks don't understand this. But speaking of Ciampa, we brought up a moment ago. So this is how they cover Ciampa. So Evil's going to WWE. They just bury him. And then Ciampa shows up. Dave doesn't have a word to say about it, doesn't confirm it, leaks a story out that Ciampa's going to the Indies and Nuge, not AEW. And then he shows up, and then here is their coverage of that.
And the lights went out. They did this very elaborate entrance.
That's contrast.
And Tommaso Ciampa has debuted for AEW. And his first match will be against Briscoe on Collision this Saturday night.
That one can go either way, because there's the argument that Ciampa's in, you don't want to beat him right away. And there's the argument.
It's fucking Tommaso Ciampa. It's fucking bald with a beard Roderick Strong, okay? And that's not even me burying him. That's a compliment, but that's what you compare him to. It's not like fucking Brock Lesnar. It's not like Bobby Lashley comes in your company. Well, that's how Tony booked him, I guess. Yeah, maybe if you're thinking. I'll retract it on this point. Maybe he's speaking because him and Tony obviously share the same mind, the sicko hive mind. So perhaps that he's saying like, oh, the way Tony's gonna book him, but he's not saying that. So I'm giving Dave a lot of rope on
go either way, because there's the argument that Ciampa's in, you don't want to beat him right away. And
you beat him right away with Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe's your guy who you've been running with, who's been on TV every week. Beat Ciampa's ass, who comes in from WWE at this stage in his career. The fuck are we talking about?
The argument that, you don't necessarily want Briscoe to lose the title before when you're building up the Fletcher thing. So
building up the Fletcher thing? We all forgot about that. No.
There you go.
I'm joking.
Well, historically, a lot of people lose their first match in AEW. So if I had to pick, I would guess that Ciampa is not winning that title. But we shall see.
Well, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, does he come in there and have a killer match?
Oh, God. When has that mattered, Dave? In the last how many decades? When has that mattered?
Shut up, bitch.
This is what I'm talking about, dude. I want to see AEW turn this shit around. God, they're on like death's door with this WBD deal. And like, I tried, you guys know, I don't want to be all doom and gloom about it, but with the Netflix WB merger acquisition, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's more doom and gloom, I think, than originally I didn't want to accept. I was coping, okay? Your boy was coping, okay? And just beat Ciampa, bro. Beat Ciampa. Tony paid him a shitload of money. He's going to barely have to work. He's not going to book Ciampa well. Ciampa is there to help get guys over and make guys look good, and it doesn't mean he can't win some matches. Fucking Dean Malenko won matches, okay? And he fucking ruled. And Ciampa is a great wrestler, Brian. Like, I know what you mean. He can do the moves good. He sells well. He's technical. He knows where to be. He's world class in that regard. As far as right now or in the future, in 5 years, 10 years down the line. Listen to how Dave is talking about, like, what matters is he goes and have a good match. Meanwhile, for Evil, it's like he's not going to do anything. He's not going to do much. And I'm trying to be nice here, but if I just came out and was like, Ciampa ain't going to do shit, he ain't going to do nothing. It's crazy how Dave is just so incredibly biased.
Because if it's a killer match, it doesn't matter if he loses, especially with AEW. So that's the key, and the potential's there.
And I get, okay, listen, he is right. If you want to mark Tone in, just like have a crazy ass good match, quote unquote, that Tone will be, oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I know I gave you more time. Right? If you can get Tone doing that at the monitor, then yes, you're going to have like a job there for a long ass time, and Tone will just pay you a shitload of money. And Ciampa, and I'm all for the boys doing that, so I'm not burying that, but I am going to bury Dave's bias. I'm going to call it out and point out why it's hypocritical. as you all know.
I mean, Ciampa's really good. Mark Briscoe's a guy who can have a good match with anyone who's good.
Oh, see, now he's burying Mark Briscoe. When has Mark Briscoe had a bad match with anyone? Could have a fucking good match with a beer bottle, and this guy's sitting here going, I mean, he can have a good match when it's like with someone good. So are you saying he's not good now? So Ciampa's really good, but Briscoe's not good. What the fuck are you talking about?
Who can have a really strong match with, and someone who's great, he can have a absolutely killer match with. So, on paper, this is a great match.
Dude, Ava Rain could have a great match with someone who's really great. And that's why I kicked your leg from your leg, Brett. Oh my God, Dave is just a spurg. Like, what the fuck is he even babbling about? Burying everybody. Wow, wait, what an endorsement. This is why fucking everyone gets over in AEW. Because you have that really cool and in-touch guy being realistic and fucking saying things that make sense about AEW. And that's why everyone loves it so much. And this is their biggest ambassador. Like, come on. So speaking of people getting buried, right? Dave Meltzer buries Billy Gunn for no fucking reason. And we have wrestlers and people in the biz surrounding the biz responding to this. Shout out Robbie Fox, who responded to this and then got mad at me. So yeah, this is what Dave Meltzer had to say about Billy Gunn for no reason, fucking standing Kyle Fletcher, which is fine. And man, Fletcher is awesome, but again, I feel gross putting him over because Dave endorses him so hard. I think that's why I'm like a Thursday hater too, is because Dave just glazes her and she is so good and is like the future of the biz, but it's like, fuck, man. You guys gotta do a Nathan Frazier. Dave used to fucking just blow Nathan Frazier and do what he's trying to do for Javon Evans, where Dave Meltzer says shit like, oh, Javon, you'll go to AEW and get paid 10 times more and all this shit. Like, why would he signal that? How would he even know? Everybody knows Tone pays a shitload, but especially for flippy guys like that. But Dave talks directly to Tone. So obviously he's like relaying conversations. Obviously he's talked to Tony about it if he's going to go say it on the fucking show. Like, people aren't stupid. We understand, especially old timers, right? So with Nathan Frazier, Dave used to do the same thing. And he was always like, man, this Frazier, he's just amazing, blah, blah, blah. Notice he doesn't glaze Frazier anymore. Why? Because Frazier once quoted Dave Meltzer and he was like, rare Dave Meltzer W. And that's enough to hurt Dave's ego. That will garner a block, much less has garnered a block. And so he didn't even bury Dave. And he put over like the people praising him, but at the same time, it's sort of like a shot at like, Dave is rarely, and I love that. And Nathan Frazier's over as fuck with me forever. Was way before that too, but I mean, and Dave's right. Frazier's an incredible talent. Like, I always say this when people are like, no one can do what Ospreay can do. It's like Frazier can do everything. He can do faster. So like, what are we talking about? And he can do the WWE style, It's unfortunate that there isn't a fucking cruiserweight division that's treated like an Ultimo Dragon Super J championship, whatever the fuck. Because I think it would do wonders for guys like Gargano and Frazier. And if there was like a junior heavyweight, light heavyweight title that fucking really was like their world title. And I know that the people are like, oh, come on now, Phil, that's not very fair. Like little guys can be champs too. And I know that, but in the current landscape of WWE, I don't see that for a while, man. Nobody below 6 feet is getting that fucking title for a minute. Either of those titles for a minute, unless you're Rey Mysterio, he's hurt again. And even he's done doing that. So, Dave, though, he will, again, his glaze for Frazier, I want to see Gray and other folks like sort of shoot him down like that in that way, because his endorsement is toxic. That's the point I'm getting at, right? And he's so goddamn out of touch. Like that last shit we played, he just buried AEW thinking he's getting AEW over. And this is the guy who Tony's calling and whose ideas he's listening to and who he's running the shows by before he fucking books them. And Dave is probably the only person he'll listen to critique from as well. Dave Meltzer, again, this is admitted. Dave admitted this at the end of last year, or maybe it was the beginning of 26, like a few weeks ago. I can't remember, but regardless, Dave Meltzer just admitted, like, Tone called me up in 2019 when I gave a bad review of a Dynamite, and he promised me he'd make the show better. Why the fuck would you promise Dave Meltzer that? That's like calling Vince Russo and asking, no, just at least Vince Russo's writing and booking a fucking show that people are watching and shit. Dave ain't doing that. He's doing fire sales on the fucking, the people aren't even reading the Observer anymore. So anyways, I say all that to bring it to this now. Like Billy Gunn gets buried by Dave, and the way the wrestlers rallied behind him, it's like the opposite effect. If Dave's burying you, people are going to come and support you because he's such a fucking clown. And that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell Dave's just cooked and fried at this point in the year of our Lord 2026. So here is his take on Billy Gunn, and he buries him, and then all the wrestlers and just people in the biz came to support Billy Gunn. Not that he even needs it, you know, like Billy Gunn probably heard this shit and was just like, buddy, you fucking Mark. Like, do you know the people I've helped get over and the fucking shit I've done? Like, what are you talking about? And so boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages gathered together and got Billy's back on this, which I love to see. And also, he's on his way. Listen, I'm not a dirt sheet, whatever. Motherfuckers have told me that this dude has been leaving for a long ass time. So I'm just like, I'll believe it when I see it. Cause it's a rumor that's been floating around forever. And then he just randomly appears on Dynamite, which is good. I hope Billy stays employed. I would love him to be in NXT, like coaching kids, but in AEW, it'd be awesome if they set up a thing where he could like coach kids and stuff like that. And I'm sure he is on like a personal level, but you know, with professional sports teams flexes and all this shit, you think maybe a facility where people could like routinely work out, and if you're on a certain level deal, you have to at least show up there a few times a week and get some reps in. And imagine the wonders that would do for the future of pro wrestling, not just the short-sighted right now. Oh, a match. Oh, a match. That was great. Oh, it was just amazing. Jingle more keys in front of my face.
Don Callis put him over. He's like Kyle Fletcher. Paul White is like, I wouldn't say he's like the level of Billy Gunn. And I'm thinking like, dude, Billy Gunn on his best day isn't half the wrestler Kyle Fletcher is today. Matt, probably not even a third. You know, it's like, but Billy Gunn is from that era, so he must be better than the.
What the guys? I'm like tired of this. Like,
day isn't half the wrestler
on his best day. He isn't half the wrestler Kyle Fletcher
is today.
If I'm Fletcher, I'm hopping on Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week with Phil Marks next week. And roasting the fuck out of this guy. Oh my god,
it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Like, jeepers, man.
Matt, probably not even a third. You know, it's like, but Billy Gunn is from that era, so he must be better than these guys. And it's just kind of like Kyle Fletcher legitimately might be, what, top 5, top 7 in the world? I think Billy Gunn was ever top 200.
What does that even mean? I don't even get what that means, dude. Was he ever top 200? Well, what year? Can you like narrow it down? In 97? Was he a top 200? I don't fucking know, man. Maybe when was he in the Smoking Guns? Do you mean then? Maybe. There wasn't a whole whack of a lot of guys on TV wrestling at a high level at that time. Maybe. What does this even mean? Kyle Fletcher, he's not a third as good as Fletcher. Fletcher, you have to roast Dave for this. You can't let him say this. Like, I'm sure Fletcher's super profesh. I bet he like hit up Billy Gunn and was like, bro, this guy's talking some bullshit. But you need to denounce him.
I don't want to say
I'm just joking.
that, but I will say it was never top 5.
Oh, no, wait. There were probably 10,000 wrestlers around the world. Okay. Top 200 is a pretty high thing. He wasn't, top 200 famous? Absolutely, because he was in WWE and was a star. But top 200 worker, when you're talking about Japan and Mexico?
Oh, bro, this worker shit. So being a star, being charismatic, being able to talk, being a part of like great angles and great creative fucking storylines and all of this stuff, and being a part of like one of the hottest factions of all time, none of that factors into being a good worker. This is what Dave doesn't understand. Work isn't just the physical aspect in pro wrestling. And it's crazy. The man's been writing about this shit for 50 years.
Not a chance. Those guys.
Not a chance, Brian.
There's so many. Like if you do today, top 200, the number 200 guy is someone who's pretty freaking great, out of all these guys all over the world. But, it was just like, come on.
And who gives it? Come on. Who's like, what do you mean? So physically at doing the moves. Physically at doing the moves, he wasn't as great. But, okay, John Cena physically at doing moves, but he's also like a bodybuilder, so he's going to have a different moveset, which like Ospreay couldn't do the type of power feats that fucking John Cena could do. So, like, what are we comparing here? You mark. And this guy has influence over people in pro wrestling and people's jobs and shit like this.
Poor people don't like AEW.
And burying him, why? What does burying this guy? Oh, and then this is the problem too. Dave and Bry get mad about kayfabe. So in kayfabe, they're like presenting him as this guy who, yeah, dude, because you want, when Billy Gunn gets beat by Fletcher, you want it to mean more. So you want to diminish him for a shoot because in kayfabe, they want to present him as a guy who's a legitimate Hall of Famer against two guys that they're trying to get over, like Takeshita and fucking Fletcher, and you want to diminish Billy Gunn because that'll help get Fletcher. Like, he doesn't realize he's burying AEW. You're uncool, Dave. Tie-dye's not cool. It wasn't cool when the Dudleys wore it. That's why they were wearing it. They wore it ironically, dude. You're cooked.
Oh, like, not only that, but it's like Kyle Fletcher's the freaking future of this company.
The future of the company that might not exist in 4 years. And that's even being generous. 3 years. And Dave is saying this like he's the future of the company, but how do you fucking know? Is Tone telling you this, or are you saying this? What if Kyle Fletcher can't draw? What if he breaks his neck because of the dumb shit he keeps doing that you give 5 stars to, and then lie and say, I just don't want them to get hurt, Brian. But then Moxley, a veteran, by the way, who should know fucking better, dumps this kid on his head, and he ends up like fucking Ospreay in 4 years. What are you talking about? The future of the company? It's not going to be a future. Protect your neck.
It was also interesting that Austin took the pin. It's like,
Austin took the pin. Yeah, the guy who's never on TV, the guy out of these 4 AEW fans care about the least. Oh, he took the pin. So they didn't want to beat Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn said, hey, guess what, Dave? Because Billy Gunn's not a mark, he said, no, I'm not just putting him over. For... No, he probably didn't even say that, but he's just like, no, I'm not. I'm not putting him over, dude. Why the fuck would I do that?
Not only that, but it's like Kyle Fletcher's the freaking future of this company. It was also interesting that Austin took the pin.
Took the pin. I need that for the soundboard, chat. We got a lot for the soundboard.
Wait a minute.
Austin... Wait a minute. Oh my God. I'm Snagglepuss. Oh my God. Isn't that Snagglepuss? Oh. Snagglepuss Dave. Oh my God. Let's listen to that again. That makes me laugh. He took the pin. What is this? My God, Brian. And what's the deal with airline food? Jerry Meltzer.
chance. Those guys, there's so many. Like if you do today top 200, the number 200 guy is someone who's pretty freaking great.
The
you
number
know,
2
out of
guy,
all
not the best guy, but the number 2 guy. By
these guys all over the world. But it was just like, come on, like not only that, but it's like Kyle Fletcher's the freaking future.
Like, come on, I love it so much. The best guy's Tony Khan, man.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
Come on, like not only that, but it's like Kyle Fletcher's the freaking future of this company. It was also interesting that Austin took the pin. It's like, wait a minute. Austin shouldn't be the one taking the pin.
Why? Make the clip 20 seconds longer and explain why. Or does he not? Why should Austin not be the one taking the pin? That doesn't even make sense. So Dave Penzer responds and says, I believe this argument to be insane on so many levels. That is all. Who else responds? Anthony Bowen says, I haven't spoken to Billy in 6 months, but this is wildly out of pocket and unnecessary. Oh, my good God. Conrad goes, oh, come on now, Dave. That's not very fair. Let me chat you up. There's a lot to unpack here, Dave Meltzer, about your recent comments. Let's unpack it together, Eric. Oh, come on. Love Dave's work, but this is just wildly out of pocket. Oh, come on now, Dave. I've never met anybody in the business who talks like this. Saying he wasn't one of your 200 favorites is fair, even if disrespectful. But to say that objectively, based on what metric? And if you want to save 20% on metrics, head down to save with PWT.com. Put some respect on Billy's name. So, yeah, there you go, dude. Conrad jumped in with what he had to say about it. And Dave Meltzer, he just can't help himself but bury people in AEW, especially seemingly like to put certain people, because he's just so agenda driven. He just wants to put certain people over at the cost of everything else. Like he doesn't care. And then like recently, again, to pick a guy like Fletcher. Yeah, like picking people like Fletcher and Kendall Gray, yeah, for sure. They could be the future. I think everyone can point to that. It's not a crazy, like, hey, look out for this guy who's the next fucking thing, which I try to do a little bit, but it's just, it's, again, a lot of this shit. Like everybody knows Javon Evans is going to be a star, like when WWE saw him and AEW had the chance to get him and they fucking missed it. And now Dave's like, oh, they should pay him a bunch of money. But the reason why Dave hates Billy Gunn is because Billy Gunn recently buried Dave Meltzer's philosophy on wrestling, or one of the many philosophies of Meltzer on wrestling. But Billy Gunn talking about how people are lazy and nobody knows how to work. And I agree to an extent. Like there's a lot of wrestlers who, and this is just in society, people are entitled as fuck and they get paid more money. Like a lot of these people, Tone is paid so much fucking money and they do it under the guise of you just got to be at the TVs or whatever when we need you. We don't even need you every week. And a lot of them would like never see that money that quick in the wrestling business ever before or without putting in the reps. Like guys like Billy Gunn have, or hitting the road. And we're starting to see in wrestling as well, like, okay, when you're wrestling a lot and hitting the road a bunch and doing 200, 300 days a year, brother, 400 days in Japan, dude, your body calluses. And yes, after a while, once you're like calloused, after a while, and you have these reps in, and the wrestling seems so intense because everyone was touching all the fucking time constantly. And the internet wasn't there to stooge every live event. Like now every live event is like a medium to big sized event because they know people are going to bring their cell phones, leak all the clips. People are just going to upload full segments from the show. So they still do house show stuff, but they, Like everybody points to, oh, we saw Braun and CM Punk work out that spear spot on house shows leading up to this. It's like, fuck, you know, that's stuff we aren't supposed to see. Right? But back in the day, not all your shit was getting spoiled from the house shows. And also, when you do the house shows all the time and you're just like on the road constantly and you get calloused and you get banged up over time. Accumulative shit happens, but it seems like guys were getting less seriously hurt. You know, when you're more callous, does that make sense? Like people are wrestling less. There's like a fine balance, I think, that you got to find. There's a sweet spot. And I think they should ramp up house shows again. But I think there's a sweet spot of like, okay, you're on the road a lot, and yes, we'll give you the family time off. And if you're a top guy, okay, like Cody Rhodes, you can work as much as you're in Hollywood and shit now. And yes, we need you on TV weekly, but also like you have some leniency. I'm all down for all of that. But at the same time, like just to keep people healthy, I think it's true. Like if there's a PC, at least the people in WWE and at the PC, like they have to be there and they're taking advantage of it. Whereas in AEW, like imagine you get put on 100K and you were just on the indies and then there's nowhere to train. Or if there is, it's like an optional William Regal's in the ring at 6 p.m. And if you want, you can come. And then Regal's like, nobody was there. And then Dax from FTR is like, I was there. I was learning more wrestling moves to feed my family. And then it's like, yeah, but Dax, he's not talking. You guys know how to work. You're FTR. It's good that you guys are still absorbing. That's awesome. I love that. But like, you guys already are good. He's talking about the young people who, like these fucking Jack Perry motherfuckers who run CM Punk out of the company. Like, that is not good. And when Billy Gunn's talking about knows how to work, again, it's the fucking tenacity. It's the, like, when you go back and watch Jeff Hardy versus RVD in a hardcore match, there's an element of these guys are fucking crazy and dangerous. When you watch Bret Hart, we've talked about this a lot. When you watch Bret Hart, there's just the intensity. Kurt Angle as well. Brock, Chris Benoit was another guy where just the tenacity of them in the ring, that's missing in pro. Even you know who Shawn Michaels, dude. He fought like, even though he wasn't like a tiny dude, especially in comparison to today. But when he was fighting Vader and shit, like you could believe it, man, because the way he throws his punches and shit, and he came up like, he worked some rough territories and shit. And he was in locker rooms with some badasses and stuff, and he got in shoot fights with Bret Hart, where he ripped out clumps of his hair, according to Jim Cornette and whatnot. So I'm not saying he's some Billy badass, but he like was believable fighting guys bigger than him and stuff, and that's why he got over and shit. And his selling, of course, too. Shawn Michaels selling, like, impeccable. Same with Bret Hart, same with Ric Flair. I think that's like a key thing. But again, that's part of working. So when Dave goes, oh, he's a way better worker, and then Dave hyper fixates on this term work that Billy Gunn brought up, because this is what Dave's specifically responding to. He hyper fixates on the work aspect, but he doesn't even fully comprehend what that means, because Billy Gunn's talking about everything. And like Dave I bet Dave doesn't even consider selling part of working. And you can tell he doesn't, because if you put over, no offense, I like Fletcher. I even like Ospreay, honestly. Like his, weird shit with Triple H is funny, but it is what it is. I got weird shit between me and Dave, bro. I get it. Okay. But this whole thing with work, like selling is a part of that, being entertaining, which selling, of course, is a part of being entertaining. That's why Chelsea Green's so good. Yeah, she can do promos and silly shit, but she sells her ass off. Like that's part of her allure, So this is what Billy Gunn's talking about, of course, because he's actually a fucking guy who did this shit at the highest levels. Top 200. There was an indie in Cuba that he wasn't as good as the wrestlers on that show, Brian. I was there. Like, what the fuck are you babbling about? So, anyways, I took a long way of getting to this is why Dave is mad at Billy Gunn, and it's all just stupidity anger, dumb anger.
Billy Gunn. I don't know if you've seen his comments or anything, but he thinks all the talent now is lazy. Don't these guys work like 3 times as
Hey,
hard?
listen, I had a lot of criticism about that Dynamite show, but I will never say those guys were lazy. In fact, the problem is they're not lazy enough. If we're being honest, they're going to kill each other.
They're not lazy enough. No, bro. And again, these fucking marks. Bry's such a mark. Yes, they go and it's like move. Yes, physically exerting yourself, that's the complete opposite of lazy. But it's it's just a cheap, lazy way of getting over, as opposed to taking the time, milking the crowd, looking. And it's so funny, too, because whenever Edge and Christian wrestle guys, they go, oh, man, these guys cooked. What a great match. Yeah, because Edge had a WWE match with them. He fucking builds up to spots and makes it's like, what don't you get about what he's fucking doing out there? Why Edge is still can go out there and have like a passable match with Daniel Garcia that isn't cringe as fuck, So instead of like doing that, the work is fucking not being part of the work is like restraint, dude. That's also discipline. That's also hard work. That's also not being lazy. Selling, learning to do the shit that actually gets other shit over instead of just copping out and like, I can backflip, I kick out, then this, then kick out. And I get it too. And I don't want to knock the boys. This isn't a knock on the boys and girls. And I'll tell you why, because they're also doing it because Tony loves that shit. And they know they'll get booked a lot if they do that shit for him. And Tone loves it because of Dave. The root of all evil, right? It stems from Dave. And then Tone wants to see that. So I'm not like knocking the people in the locker room for fucking, but that's why Joe rules. Why does everyone like Joe? And when he's a champ, people are like, oh, fuck yeah. Why is he the only consistent? Like, okay, Joe lost the title. Look at the fall off they've had since Joe lost the title, ratings wise. He's the only guy who can like steady the ratings or increase them a little bit and the houses. And then boom, they just fucking fall right. He loses the belt. A bunch of people tune out again. Why is that? Well, because he doesn't have these fucking mark-ass sicko matches with motherfuckers. That 4-way or whatever, maybe it was a bit, but he didn't. What was Joe doing? He wasn't doing flips. He just came in and did his fucking spots. He goes in there and he has a fucking match, like a real fucking good wrestling match. And he doesn't have to do all this sicko shit. Because he knows how to get over, take his time. He looks dangerous, right? And Dave doesn't factor any of that into anything. None of that matters. It's just, are you fucking Jack Evans? Or will you jump through glass like Darby Allin? Or will you land on your head like Misawa and then I'll put you over? I'll give you 5 stars if you're in your 20s and land on your head like Misawa and Ospreay. And all these other fucking guys, Shibata, and all these guys who fucking have fucked up heads and necks.
Everybody.
Or passed away,
that's
unfortunately.
It's like he's saying that these guys.
The point I'm making, though, is I bet wrestlers will tell you this, too. The pacing and all that, that's part of not being lazy. Like, that's putting in the work. I'm sure flipping 400 times is really fun. And I'm sure in Mexico, that shit gets over like crazy. Just in the Americas. This is just, I'm giving you good advice. Okay? In the Americas, bro. People don't give a fuck entirely about that on a weekly wrestling show. Now, if you just want to do a super indie and upload the shit to YouTube and Tone wants to have matches in his backyard or at the E Stadium or whatever, and it's just like an indie or whatever, but when motherfuckers get attacked for being like, you're not the challenger brand, AEW isn't, and then TNA creeps in, and then now it's like, nope, TNA, how dare you call it a number 2? Okay, that's what everyone was saying to you about AEW. It's not working, dude. Like a weekly TV show, you got to do the sports entertainment-y aspect. And I would say, and I think everybody in the wrestling business understand this, there's more money in being a TV / streaming, whatever, PLE, pay-per-view wrestling box office draw star at the highest level, which is objectively WWE. So why would you be shitting on Billy Gunn when he was in DX, bro? He was in Billy and Chuck, which was more over than Fletcher has been in his career. So, and that's, again, not a knock on Fletcher. That's just being objective about AEW.
That the young generation are lazy. It's like, of all the things to say, that's a really weird world, and how, that they don't know, and nobody knows how to work. It's like fucking Kenny Omega is in this company, and you're saying nobody knows how to work. You know what I mean? Like, Kenny Omega is like one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, and you're saying nobody knows how to work. It's like that dude was like, he was better than 95% of the guys in Billy Gunn's day by a lot.
Oh my God, just burying the whole Attitude Era.
The top guys in that era, sure, they're close to that level.
The Attitude Era, who they just dropped a video game about that trends harder than AEW, that they're doing a video game 30 years later to celebrate, and this guy's burying it.
God, I mean, especially it's Billy Gunn. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's like if it's Shawn Michaels, who would never say that, that's the other thing. Brett might.
Yeah, Shawn Michael, exactly. Brett might. So are Brett and Shawn not two of the GOATs, Dave? And they have different perspectives. Why? Well, because I'll explain why. And again, you don't have any, I hate to keep using this word, but objectivity. Dave can't remove himself and look at things objectively and go hey, my feelings aside, or let's try and understand why. Because Brett is just an outside observer who just sees shit on TV. So he might go, people look lazy and shit. Shawn Michaels is in the weeds, and he's surrounded by and training kids who are from all over the place. Indies, homegrown, NIL, veterans who are trying to find their footing again, and they're hungry for it. And most of them want to be the best of the best, and it's their fucking dream to get accepted. So, of course, Shawn Michaels wouldn't say that. Billy Gunn, again, he's backstage in AEW. Every veteran, literally every single veteran.
The best guys, Tony Khan,
says the same thing, that the fucking young guys in AEW, and he didn't single out AEW. He is just speaking in general, but Dave takes it personally. In general, they're fucking lazy in comparison to the work of past generations, or if you go to the PC and see what those guys are doing. Or even on the indies. There's a lot of guys on the indies that I'm sure work fucking harder than people on the AEW roster have felt the need to after they make all that fucking money, especially in the early days, man.
But Brett wouldn't call them lazy. Brett might say nobody knows how to work.
Brett would just call them gay. Oh, they're gay, and he was a boy toy for a reason and not there with Vince,
But it's like
they were gay lovers, and that.
You know what I mean? It's like if Ric Flair says it, you know what I mean? But it's freaking Billy Gunn.
If Ric Flair says it.
Saying that these guys are lazy and don't know how to work.
And then the fake, you're not really outraged by this. He knows he's talking out of his ass. He knows he is, and that's why he's fucking, I don't know. He just has this cheesy cadence about him there while he's talking about it. So Dave Meltzer, he kind of gets in arguments with some folks. Not kind of, he does, but someone sent me to this right before I went on the air. Julian Week says, ignoring how much he's improved is wild. If Hunter doesn't push him, you write up pieces about him not pushing black men. If he pushes them, then you try to diss, whatever. Well, not whatever. That's a great point, but Dave doesn't listen to that. He goes, an agenda to tell the truth and not give a fuck. The amazing thing about Twitter is that I'm literally a mirror. The hopelessly biased cry I'm biased. Nobody else possibly could because I'm the student of every aspect of this game. Bro, he is utterly fucking delusional.
stupid idiot.
He's legitimately a crazy person. And he's like, I'm a mirror. No, dude, you project. You're a projector, Dave. You're not a mirror. And that's why you think people are projecting onto you. This is why you blocked everyone into a bubble, not just like 10 follower sickos who are bots, the Rons and the fucking AEW Shields. You respond and talk to those people, Dave. We talked about it on the last PWT live show. You talk to those people. You block anybody who fucking calls you out on any of this shit. And you think you're a mirror is the funniest part. You're a projector, bro. The exact opposite. You don't reflect, dude. You project. And that's why you think you're a fucking mirror, bud. And he says the hopelessly biased cry, I'm biased. No, you're biased. This isn't the hopelessly biased. It's the majority of people collectively going, Dave, this is what it is. It's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Dave? And you're like, I'm convinced the answer's D. And everyone's like, no, it's B. And then like, yeah, there's a handful of people left who are like, oh, no, it's C, I think. But no, you got to go with the majority on this one, dude. There's a reason, Dave. There's a reason that your Observer newsletter did fire sales all of 25, 50% off, and then started this 26 off with like a $80 off if you get the year upfront deal. And I'm not hating on deals and shit, but it's just the fact that all year, once a month, you ran a new, and literally it was once a month. This month, 50% off, whatever. Like, how come last year you had 50% off new subscribers the entire year? How come when we read your newspaper, Dave, because we read it on the show, you have spelling errors, run-on sentence, like no editor, no editing, which is like, okay, maybe we can let that slide because you're a fucking spurg and you're just typing away with your tongue wagging. I get it. But then why do you lie by omission, completely leave out things like key details in matches like, yo, the ref saw Okada stab this guy in Minecraft in the head with a fucking screwdriver, blatantly saw it, ruin the finish. Dave just omits that shit from his reviews, rates the match 4.5 stars. Like, bro, no, you're projecting again. The hopelessly biased. You are hopelessly biased. That's why we just played clips of you being hopelessly biased towards Kyle Fletcher, because it's not, this is why it's hopeless. You're hopeless because you're just clinging on, reaching for anything, and it's hopeless for the people you endorse. It's not going to help them at all. And then he says, nobody else possibly, because I'm a student of every aspect of this game. I would love to see Dave Meltzer wrestle a fucking match right
I don't
now.
know.
I would love to see Dave wrestle a pro wrestling match. Every aspect of this game, huh?
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I would love to see Dave wrestle anybody and see how fucking stupid that looks. And people have asked, did Dave ever do wrestling training, or has he have you sorry, I'm reading this chat. So Dave Meltzer, though, people have asked him, have you done any training or anything like that? And he said he did some stuff in Japan or something. And that was like a rumor floating around for a bit. So, yeah, I don't know. Dave is completely coping here and just lying, saying he's a student of every aspect of this game. He doesn't know shit about streaming. Okay? He doesn't know shit about streaming. That's been proven. Nicolo Piccolo proved that. He doesn't know shit about pay-per-view numbers, which he recently got exposed for.
Liar!
Okay.
Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
And the guy that posted the spreadsheet, Dave just blocked him. Didn't even refute it or respond or anything. And all it did was show that AEW's pay-per-view numbers, the math doesn't make sense at all. And they're an anomaly. They just don't work. You know, I'd love to pull TNA's numbers. I'm sure they look similar to the other ones besides AEW's, you know? So he got exposed for that, right? And so he's like, an agenda to tell the truth. Dave, you told more lies than anybody. Actually, more than anybody, man. Especially the last 2 years. Probably before then too, but we just don't know. Like there wasn't people fucking A-logging this putz like I am. So and then he's just such a condescending motherfucker. He fucking projects all the time. Like he will say things like these old podcast grifters. And it's like, Dave, you literally are an old podcaster, and you grift, bro. You do 50% off of $14.99 petty fucking buy my shitty paper where I omit information, and it's riddled with typos and fucking run-on sentences and gobbledygook. And I'm super biased towards one, like that's a grift if I've ever heard one ever. 50-year one, dude. But yeah, so this guy, Joe Shad, says, why is ESPN broadcasting and analyzing WWE Royal Rumble wrestling? Well, because it's mainstream again. WWE's mainstream. People can cope over that how they like, but Dave Meltzer says because they are paying them $325 million per year and thus have to do the best they can to justify that expenditure. Or they invested in something and covering WWE content is what everyone's doing, stupid. Notice how all the biggest podcasts are having wrestlers on now. Now wrestling's like a cool thing. Wrestlers are in all the Hollywood flicks now, Dave. Wrestlers are getting shows on Netflix and their themes are playing in random shows where Seth Rollins is stomping dudes out in weird sci-fi shows and shit. And you notice how popular and mainstream WWE in particular, all of wrestling's feeling a boom, except for AEW and the wrestling Dave thinks is cool, which he says CMLL, but I mean, the tickets are super cheap, and not to knock it, it's still impressive, but like $8 tickets and shit. And like, you can get them free easily. So it's just, and then also they own the building, so they could just say, yeah, we sold it out again. Even if there could be like hundreds not there for all we know. We distributed the house again. They could be saying that too for all we know. But Dave just hangs his hat on that. That's why he does that, because it's the only thing comparable to WWE in any way. So he goes, oh no, I love CMLL. But it's like, yeah, they're partnered with AEW and you clearly love AEW, and that's fine. Just admit that shit. Just say, I'm biased towards this shit. Right. And so the way he frames it, because they're paying them all this money and they have to do the best they can to justify it. Or is it that Ariel Helwani has more pro wrestlers and Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan and fucking everybody's get Theo Vaughn and all the biggest pods are having wrestlers on their shit and all these Hollywood movies, Street Fighter, Highlander with Henry fucking Cavill. You got your current WWE champions in that. Meanwhile, MJF is a backup. He's son number 3 in Adam Sandler's fucking Happy Gilmore 2. Right? And that's not, again, it's just there's levels to this. I'm just showing you one-to-one. Here's your world champions. MJF executive produced Iron Claw and they fucking cut his scene out. Am I wrong on that? Someone fact check me. I think he helped produce that movie. And they cut his fucking, he's in it for a millisecond. Right? And you have the current WWE champions in Highlander with Henry Cavill in a fucking significant role. I wish I could tell you guys all about it, but again, that's spoilers for a flick that I'm going to encourage you all to go see. He has a fucking amazing role in that movie, which what his role is out there, but just some of the deets. What's going down in that flick, man? Drew it's amazing. And then the shit Cody Rhodes is doing. He was in Naked Gun. He's in Street Fighter. You're seeing Roman Reigns in more movies. Hollywood's Liv Morgan's in this big movie because CM Punk's in movies. They're now Hollywood goes, and I know this for a fact, Hollywood will pause for wrestlers now instead of like, well, fuck, if they want to do it, they're doing it on our schedule. Unless it's like Tarantino or Scorsese, if a wrestler's doing a fucking movie. And shout out Jericho, by the way. Again, he's coming back to WWE, but he's in some show with like Nicole Kidman that she's like in a wrestling ring or something, and he's in scenes with Nicole Kidman. So shout out fucking Jericho, dude. That rules. But again, it's not to justify anything, Dave. It's to put more pro wrestling content because people are into wrestling again. And wrestling is like member berries. It's like, you guys remember how superheroes got real popular, even though like I could list every X-Men and people would call me retarded for that when I was in elementary school, right? But you fast forward and superhero movies are all the fucking rage, and everybody's raving and raging about fucking superhero movies in the MCU and DCU and all of this sort of shit. Because why? Because it's kind of member berries. Like, even people who grew up, like, you might have not been into it, but like your brother was into fucking superheroes, or you're a girl, you dated some dude, he had comic books or something. It was whatever. It's shit that people were kind of in, it's like gives you member berries in a way. It's nostalgia. Wrestling is that again too, especially WWE. So they're not justifying shit. They're just rolling out more programming and making WWE serious again, sports-based, trying to make people take wrestling seriously. I know that it wasn't Darby Allin shoving a pineapple up his ass and then doing a headstand in a fucking vat of soy sauce while bobbing for apples or whatever the fuck you're trying to see over there. I know it wasn't that, Dave, but it's them taking pro wrestling and trying to give it a sports-based feel and make it integrate it with actual sports. You dumb motherfucker. Because the money they spent, and then it costs money to put out productions like this. So fuck are you talking about? And then Dave, again, I'm the student of every aspect of this game. Then why the fuck didn't you look at the PLE numbers for just the international? WrestlePalooza was among the highest. We just covered this, proving Dave's a fraud again. Not even counting the US. We just got a list of all the PLE numbers for global. Netflix's global reach. WrestlePalooza was one of the highest, so I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm sorry, people. I know it's a piss off. NordVPN.com/ProWrestleTimes. Save 70% on 2-year deals if you want Canadian Netflix and YouTube. But that's where all WWE is, by the way. If you have Canadian Netflix and YouTube, all of WWE, you don't miss anything if you're a WWE fan. So, and Dave doesn't understand that. Dave doesn't understand how popular VPNing is, and how popular piracy even is. Like, imagine if we're factoring in how many people pirate ship WWE and things like this. It would be insane numbers, really, truly, but he can't accept that. But he's a student of every aspect of the game, quote unquote. And more of his bias here. I'm going to check him with chat, but more of his bias here. Dave Meltzer called all the talent on TNA Impact debut WWE scraps. So what does he call Gallus, Priscilla Kelly, Bishop Dyer, Caden Carter, and all the other ex-WWE looming in and around AEW? Now, chat, I'm not going to say who. 34K views, 629K likes. I'm not going to say who, but some of the wrestlers I listed here liked this fucking post. Okay, so I'm spitting. Okay, your boy Phil's spitting when they're liking the post, when it's like kind of shit, a place they could get a job. Obviously, you can't see likes, so it doesn't hurt to give a like away. But, and I'm just like, I didn't tag nobody, and I'm just keeping it real. Dave Meltzer called all the Impact. You got this Robbie Fox motherfucker getting mad at me today. Why do you hate on Dave? Bro, because he fucking hates on everybody, He calls all the ex-WWE guys in TNA WWE scraps. What does he call all the people in AEW? What does he call Ciampa? Is that a WWE scrap, according to Dave Meltzer? I'm curious if he called Ciampa WWE scrap. I'm real curious. So, Dave Meltzer... Again, he goes 16,000 tonight at Arena Mexico. There's never been a run like this in pro wrestling history. 13 Mystico sellouts in 26. And then, this Pesner goes fucking in 3 weeks, 16. And when people say that Mystico's the biggest draw, I would refute that, because listen, NXT sell, and I'm not trying to shit on Mystico. It's just, let's be objective here. NXT sells out all the time, not nearly as many people, right? But it's like their home turf. It's like their home base. And the tickets, again, I explained it. CMLL owns Arena Mexico. So if they go sold out again, they could just say that to people like Dave Meltzer. And there's no way of proving it. No one's doing a turnstile count. The building's not owned by someone else and CMLL runs out of it. They own the building. So again, tickets are $8. Or what is Glenn Gilberti says ticket prices for these shows are 10 to 40 USD. Okay. 10 to 40 USD. So let's say you pay $10 to get in. That's awesome. And I'm fucking pumped that CMLL does good business. But we even saw shows where Dave's like a sellout and Bad Bunny was in the front row and there were a bunch of empty sections. Now, CMLL easily could just say that they sold it out even if there's 100 people missing or whatever. And they could easily be handing out a bunch of tickets. Like they own the building. So there's this is all I'm saying. And I'm not burying CMLL, but Dave, if WWE, because he doesn't put no clout on fucking NXT, like selling out the same building a bunch of times forever too. It's like they're local fed and the tickets are more expensive. But when we talk about the biggest draws, like Mystico selling out 16,000 for $8 tickets, is that as big of a draw as John Cena selling out 16,000 for hundreds of dollars a ticket? I don't know. I think that clearly proves, like, why aren't people going and fucking flocking to see Mystico like he's doing houses? Like, you know, this is the factor for that. It's like if Mystico's such a ginormous draw when he shows up in AEW, why aren't the houses like, oh my God, he drew 8K? Well, because it's in Mexico. Is that what the argument would be? Because Dave literally last show argued, he said some shit like 2 times as many people will fly from America to Mexico to see Mystico or whatever the fuck. So again, it's just always these weird fucking little nitpicky statistics and him just pushing Mystico, even though like nobody really cares, Dave. Like if you that's awesome in Mexico, but AAA went from not selling a lot of tickets, or they were selling out all the time too, but in comparison to like going to America and then selling as much as they are for the price they are now, like there's something to be said about that. And if Mystico, why doesn't that effect carry over anywhere? But WWE's effect carries over. You know, I think it's just point blank period. WWE, obviously, they're the biggest draws, they're the biggest superstars, but when it comes to Mystico, it's in Mexico. So if Roman Reigns went to Mexico, he'd draw a shitload of money. Like if Cody Rhodes goes to Mexico, he draws a shitload of people. Now, Mystico does it consistently, but it's like your local crowd and the arena's owned by the fuck. So who is it really a sellout every single time? That's all. Like if WWE owned their own building and kept going 16,000, Dave and Thurston would have lawsuits against the build. Literally, Thurston would have lawsuits against the building trying to figure out if it was really the count. And then Dave would care about turnstile numbers, even though he fucking claims he doesn't care about that. He would then, if WWE owned the building and like was saying, yeah, 20,000 every week, he would be like investigating it and trying to debunk it. And we know he would be. So it's funny how he just uses this as this metric of success, which it is for CMLL as a company. But like, is that all just because of Mystico? Like, can you point to whenever Mystico's here, it's a sellout? I don't know. Someone who knows more about CMLL could educate me on that, but it just, I don't know. It just, Dave putting it over, you just have to question it. You question everything Dave puts over. If that's something you learn and take away from the show, you know, you gotta be like, denounce him or question it. No, I don't need any wrestlers to denounce him. He's just a clown. And so let me check in with chat really quick. The Eric G Life is a new member. Thanks, dude. I do bonus shows every week, so enjoy them. Black Saw Johnny Hex 310 has been a member for 2 months. Are you hyped for Avengers Doomsday? I am. Also love the show. Thank you. I love you. Do you like hot honey on pizza? No, but like I'll dip, if there's some hot honey, I'll like dip some crust in some hot honey or something. But no, not really. What's chat saying? Dave talks like an alien cosplaying as a human. I swear to God, I was born in the basement. You only adopted it, Brian. I love pineapples up my ass. It's the best. Has Dave said anything about Darby setting his brother on fire? Of course not. The multiverse is why I stopped watching DC and The Flash. I look and see it's not just me. Okay, let's get back into the show here. So here, I'm going to chug down some of my coffee here. So Dave Meltzer gets called out by the GOAT. Meltzer said, what? Who says one of the most disingenuous propaganda proprietors on the planet? Propaganda proprietors on the planet. Propaganda proprietors on the planet. Propaganda proprietors on the planet. So the Hitman says CMLL can't draw outside of Mexico. AAA is WWE. But it's true, though. That's the thing. And AAA showing it can draw outside of Mexico, too, which is why Dave is going so hard with this Mystico agenda, okay? So Dave Meltzer says, yet their stars were the biggest draws for some sellouts when MLW brought them in. Right, and I've gone over this. MLW, their fans mark the fuck out for Mystico. AEW fans don't give a fuck about Mystico. They look at all of the luchas as just like generic interchangeable, and that's because how Tony books them. And I've always been critical of Tone. Early days of PWT live show every Wednesday and Saturday night, guys. If you guys go back in time, you guys will hear me saying all the time that Tone books luchas and women like shit. I've sort of let that go because he just books everything like shit. But yeah, to them, the luchas are just interchangeable. They don't give a fuck. And they even have hologram and a clone of hologram. And so thank you, Chicago Azteca Lucha. New all-time box office record. MLW sells out. Major League Wrestling has officially sold out its upcoming February 7 return to Chiquero Stadium in Chicago, marking yet another milestone for the league and its fans. The sellout makes it 4 consecutive sold-out events since 24. So do you guys see what Meltzer said? What is the stadium capacity? 1,800. So imagine like Raws do 18,000. 16,000, 11,000, 13,000, 20,000. That's what Raws do. The PLEs do 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 2 nights in a row. 17,000, 26,000, right? That's what the fucking right? So this stadium, quote unquote, the attendance is 1,800. And also, they sold it out 4 times before that. 3 or 4 times before that, before the CMLL Mystico crossover. Or whatever the fuck. Well, they always cross over with CMLL. That's the thing. Right? If you like old luchas, Kojima, and fucking some other cool wrestlers like Cruel and fucking the Skyscraper shit, MLW rules, right? I want to watch Battle Riot. It's actually tonight, and it's not airing. It's going to be on a 7-day delay. I found out, god damn it, which sucks. I was hoping to watch some Battle Riot tonight, but I'll stick with Impact, I guess. But yeah, there you go. So he's just, again, he just says these things where he's like, yeah, it was the biggest draws for some sellouts when MLW brought them in, and it's like, bro, there are 1,800 tickets sold. That's fucking nothing. There, GCW can pull up with Matt Cardona and do that number. One fucking guy they can pull up and do it. Hog Wrestling does it. Like, maybe not that many, but you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what is that? And this guy says they can't draw outside of Mexico. Dude, AAA is doing like thousands of people for pricey ass tickets in America. We're the kids in America. Ooh, whoa. So they were draws for MLW doing 1,800 seaters. And that's the capacity. When you set up a ring and everything, it's not 1,800. It's less than that, okay? Wrestling is a big setup, especially with the stage and the LED boards, because you can get those on the cheap now that everybody sets up, right? That's my one problem with pro wrestling now is like every fed looks so fucking generic with their, oh, we can afford LED boards and a little ramp. I want to see some different shit, but that's just a side note. But yeah, so it's just like he just says this shit and people laugh, they eat it up, and it's just fraudulent, you know? So, speaking of being fraudulent, Switchblade points out here, which, guys, Switchblade and Nicolo Piccolo made up in private. There you go. So I know they both sometimes possibly maybe tune into PWT from time and time again. So I hope maybe my breakdown of it all had something to do with that. But yeah, there's a little update. But Switchblade 97 said, what's Meltzer getting at here? What's suspicious about AEW drawing so many fans in the 50-plus demo? Does he think Nick Khan is fudging the numbers or something? So I've been saying this for a long time that AEW is for like old fans. You guys know when WWE got really whack and then everyone fell off and then it was just older people watching it? That's what's happening. Like some of these AEW fans, it's been like, what, 7 years now of AEW, roughly, right? So there's people who were like 25 when they started watching it. They have like kids now. They got married last year. You know what I mean? Like people are older. They're in their 30s. And like I know like the 50 plus, but again, it was something exciting and it's just going to skew older the more old people like Dave. Like it's an old thing to be into, like, and I've pointed this out a bunch. What like the Bucks and Omega and that shit in that era of New Japan and Ring of Honor, like when Cody Rhodes was in Ring of Honor shit, that like, oh, it's the indie era. AEW kind of killed that super indie era, and now it's like about the ID, people getting over like bang, bang. Sosa, Ricky Sosa, like kids on the indies are coming up with entrances now and shit to get themselves over. Like that's what you want to see. And that era, that's like old guy shit. That's like boomer shit to be joking. But it's like old guy shit kind of to be into, or it's just like an out of date thing that people aren't into, like the super indie Young Bucks, New Japan, whatever. And that's what Tone's still doing. Right. And it's just kind of like it's uncool. People just aren't into it as much, you know? It's kind of passe. That was like 2010, you know? That's when that shit was cool. Like 2010, in that decade, you know, we're over halfway through the 2020s. Like that shit's old and stank, bro. So I think that's why older folks are gonna start my prediction. And because Dave always uses this theory, like, well, of course all the young people just went over and started using Max. Bro, young people are using VPNs, they're fucking pirating shit, and they're using their parents' logins for their Netflixes and shit. Oh, hopefully mom has HBO Max so I can fucking... How many people switched over to Max because they're young? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So, anyways, Dave says if it did... Okay, AEW Dynamite on Thursday AEW Dynamite on Thursday did un 0.08. Did un 0. Is that grammatically correct? I don't even know. Did un 0.08 and 18 to 49, but we don't have the viewer number. And again, can I just point this out, guys? Why the fuck are all the ratings for AEW since like Christmas, New Year, new agenda? We're just going to hide the fucking ratings every week so people can't clown them. And now AEW draws below 500K. Joe drops the belt. They were already kind of teetering. Everyone's like, can they do 600? Can they do 500? Right? And Dave's already got built-in excuses for Valentine's Day Dynamite ratings, which I fucking love. I'm going to play you the clip in a minute. But why is it that there's like all these excuses. There's always been excuses, but why is it that like they're being hidden and there's like weeks missing, and then Programming Insider obviously always says something that isn't quite accurate, or it's like Holmes versus whatever the fuck. I don't know. Go follow Raj Giri if you want to hear about that shit. But my take on it is like, why is this shit being hidden? Why is Dave just blatantly stooging evil in WWE, but then like trying to swerve people on Ciampa? Why are these ratings being hidden and then excuses are being built in, like just more and more egregious ones, which the excuses I get, Dave's been doing that forever, but he says he's a student of this game and he can't just admit like this shit is falling off. They're hemorrhaging on average like almost 100,000. Like, hey, I don't know shit about the ratings, and a blind guy, Stevie Wonder, 3 Blind Mice could fucking tell you that they were going to be in the 500,000 or below ratings come 26. It started at the start of the year. And anyone could call it. Why? Because, Dave, if you just studied, you know that 100,000 less people every fucking year watching the show. It's like every year about 100,000 people go, fuck this. Joe kind of had the ratings, and then he loses the belt, and then it just falls apart again. And fucking where's Joe? You know? He's filming shit. He's a Hollywood fucking guy. He's doing Twisted Metal. Like, and then you have MJF. Where's he? He just shows up, grabs the, and people don't really, I'm sorry, people aren't really into fucking MJF like that. Especially when he takes the belt on these indie tours. Like, he's drawing for these indies. Sure. But like for AEW, man, it's crazy. I want somebody to sleuth out the numbers and do some analytics on like who's consistently, like, take the handful of AEW world champions that there's been with multiple reigns and just see who's overall like lost the most viewers. I'm curious. It was Moxley before, but I don't fucking know, dude. So Dave Meltzer says, but we don't have the viewer. If it did 1.25 viewers per home, it would be 480,000. At 1.30, it would be 500,000. At 1.35, it would be 518. Once again, the 50 to 54 number was ridiculous at about 84,000, which is a ridiculous number if you're doing that number of viewers and have so many congregated in that one age group. It's suspicious to me. No, you're just dumb and don't understand this shit. You're just dumb, Dave. You just don't get the shit. And then you want to condescend and tell everybody, I'm the master. I'm Uatu the Watcher. I study and learn.
Baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Oh, my God, dude. The show was 6th in the first hour and 5th in the second hour for the night. Ooh. Ooh. And remember when Dave would say shit like, oh, it's the number one thing on cable, or it's the number one thing besides the news. And it's like, okay, so then it's not number one. And it's also not even number two, because when he says the news, that's like 5 or 6 different programs that night that still fucking outdid AEW. Like the linear TV's trash. Jeff Lane broke it down. Like, you're the fucking shitty, you're the second best or 7th best, depending who you ask, of the shittiest shows. Right? It's like having the fucking second smallest dick at the small dick competition. Like, what are you, what prize are you really fucking winning here? You know? So yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't get why Dave, just clearly biased as well. Like, where is he saying anything like that about WWE? And that's what people don't realize. Robbie Fox, I know you're watching from Barstool Sports, welcome. But I do play the based flute for Dave when he says based shit, but like, he's losing it. You know what I mean? So moving along here. Just going through the tweets, and then we got clips, guys. So Meltzer said, what, the GOAT again tweets this. So this will never not be funny. Shibuya. So here's Dave last night at around midnight in Shibuya, which is the big hangout place. There were 1,500 or 150,000 people watching the Tanahashi Omega contract signing. They are saying it was the most watched live contract signing in the history of sports. That's in 01-19. This is a long time ago. This is 7 years ago. And this guy is such a clown. Like, this is the problem. The internet fraud checked fucking Dave Meltzer. That's all that happened. Okay. And so here was Shibuya, New Year's Eve, January 1st, 2019. This is what was going on. Because somebody, this is what somebody did. They memed in, like somebody put the, they edited this video back in the day. If you guys remember, this happened. Back in the day, they edited this where they put Kenny Omega signing the contract with Okada on these screens here. And then Dave Meltzer thought it was fucking real. And this is what I'm saying. He thought that fucking internal memo in the Fightful Discord was real. Remember when last year when he posted that graphic of, and then he's like, Backlash is reportedly in, will be in Japan. And then he goes, oh, that was a fucking, it turns out that was fake. So Dave, you mean you saw that shit on Twitter that everybody else saw, and then you fucking just reported it as if it were news. You didn't even call anyone. That's what he does with all of his fucking news, guys. And anything he gets told, and he proved this with Unreal. Again, I'm the only guy who points this shit out. Nobody does this shit like me. I am the clit commander. None of you motherfuckers are safe. Whenever you see clits, you see this fucking thing. No, but dude, here's the thing. When Dave is like looking at the whiteboards on the Unreal show, and then he's like, oh, look at the whiteboards. I mean, they proved us right, Brian. No, dude, this is what happens, right? They wrote shit down, and then when that stuff got erased, that's when whoever your assigned stooge goes and tells you the old stuff that they thought about, some of the ideas they threw away, Dave. And that's why those old whiteboards from a long fucking ass time ago match with whatever bullshit you were told after the fact. Okay. It doesn't confirm anything you guys were saying. And again, Dave, he believes shit like this, dude. He believed, and again, I want the original video, but yeah, they like superimposed it. And there was another one they did where like everyone's in that pub. They did the same thing with a Kenny Omega thing where everyone's in that pub and then and then they all erupt for it. And did Dave believe that one too? He's an idiot. Like, so that's all the way back in 2019. Now, if there was no internet, people wouldn't have been able to call him out for this shit. And this is why it's so important. And then he wrote about this in the fucking Observer. He wrote about this in the Observer. So imagine you defend Dave, you get the Observer. I can't wait to read the Observer. You read this shit, and he's literally just a retarded guy not understanding how fucking social media works. Shibuya has one of the most active nightlife scenes in all of Tokyo, so it makes sense that people would come out in droves to soak up the energy and bring in the new year together. Crowds gather at Shibuya Crossing on New Year's Eve for the countdown. When it's all over, the neighborhood has no shortage of bars to help keep the party going. And then look here, and then Dave retweeted the pub explodes. Oh, so we have this one. Yeah. So they superimposed the Okada match. Okay, and then he also reposted this one. Like, Jesus Christ. And he reposted that back in the day. Shout out Meltzer Said What, who's been fucking A-logging Dave for like a decade coming up on in a few short years, dude. The absolute GOAT. So moving along here. Again, we have a bit of throwback. This is more throwback stuff, like flashback Dave Meltzer stuff. Over 300 watching. Hit like and subscribe to youtube.com/@ProWrestleClips. If you're on X or whatever, hit the heart, retweet, all that good shit. You can super chat in, become a member for 99 cents. I do bonus shows every week. Those are my plugs. So here's another one. Meltzer Said What, pulling this up, right? So, and he said, I need to dig up the one where they had Court on the Observer to explain how WWE should be doing their YouTube, talking about Court Bauer, right? And so this was in the Observer back in the day. This was in 2023, not back in the day. way back in my day, a few fucking years ago. So again, Dave with his ideas. The idea is eventually to run a circuit in India using the local talent as stars, similar to the plans in the US. While India has a large number of wrestling fans, except for television rights, it's said to be almost impossible to make any money in the market. Several US companies, Impact and MLW, most notable, have actually geo-blocked India because most of the YouTube video consumption of wrestling comes from India. But advertisers know those viewers are worthless. Now, listen. To say, oh, those guys in India are all worthless is pretty crazy, because that's kind of what you're saying. And they're not worthless, but if anybody's ever worked in, like, I've worked in a little bit of digital marketing and stuff in the past, and like doing like ad campaigns for people and stuff. So some of it is like, yes, dude, if you want to, for instance, if you want to like put an ad out and you want to target like girls in America, we'll just say women in America and Canada, and you want to like target them, that's more expensive. Like women are in like America and like North American shit, but America in particular are like the number one consumers. Like makeup and shit are like multi-billion trillion dollar industries. Even during the pandemic, it's like one of the industries that didn't fall off. You know, women, you know, for the most, they're fucking consumers, dude, and they consume a lot, and that's fine. We live in a fucking capitalist consumer society. It is what it is, right? But marketing to women is like super key for like a lot of things, right? And just in general. So if you're like trying to target the key demo, quote unquote, in males, like 18 to, I think on YouTube it's like 18 to 25. I think they separate it by as well. So like, let's say you're trying to do 18 to 25 on YouTube, males and like women in general. Yes, to target market to like a woman, let's say that will cost you $2 for, you know, whereas like someone in India might be like 60 cents or some shit. But to say it's worthless is fucking just like, come on, man. That's such a, how worthless is it, you know? And Meltzer said what owns him in a second, but with WWE, the mentality is different, with the belief that building stars on YouTube can lead to money-making opportunities down the line, even if it hurts ad revenue currently. Well, I don't know how much it's really hurting ad revenue, but the top 10 most subscribed YouTube channels in the world, all of these people are rich as fuck, right? And WWE makes shitloads of money off their YouTube, I assure you. And especially with how they sort of handle the ad revenue and things right now. And it's all about retention rate as well and things like this. Metrics Dave doesn't understand by a country fucking mile. Okay. He likes wrestling that's just move, move, move. He's TikTok brained. He has that's why he's just doom scrolling Twitter, arguing with sickos and watching wrestling that's just move, 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 and watching all the wrestling in the world and then writing 8 million words about it, apparently. Because for some reason he has more time in the day, or is he just lying and doesn't really fucking watch WWE and shit? I maintain he doesn't. I maintain it's WWE shit he like throws on in the background, unless it's like a big PLE or something. But Dave doesn't understand, like, WWE matches are all, you see it through. Like, think about a wrestling match. You pretty much, if you're into it, you're not going to click on it, turn it off 2 minutes later, like you might someone talking or something. Right? So a match is like, you typically see it through. When you click on, when they upload, Royal Rumble 97, and then you click on it, that's like an hour's worth of straight retention rate and shit. When you watch their live streams, the AAA events on, you watch it start to finish for the most part. Most people do. But then the convenience of it is, hey, I can go back and finish it later, baby. So they make a killing on YouTube. I wouldn't block out India and shit. That's redacted. You know, whereas things like subscriber count probably don't matter nearly as much. It doesn't really as much. And retention rate and shit is what YouTube pushes currently. And that's like a big change recently as well. So like Dave's not keeping up with all this. So I guarantee, and throwing out people just being like, they're worthless out there. It's like, their views are worthless. No, man, that's the wrong. This elitist gatekeepy bullshit again. Like, no, all the eyeballs possible. That's how you get your Hulk Hogans, your John Cenas. That's how you make global superstars. People know who Hulk Hogan is in India. People don't know who Kyle Fletcher is in India, okay? Doesn't matter how many stars you give him, Dave. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's about for pro wrestling, no? So I don't know how worthless these fucking eyeballs are. I think all eyeballs are good eyeballs. And so let's see if Dave argues with anybody a little bit more or has any more throwback clips. Yeah, so here's a throwback clip from 2020 where this guy at Spine on the Pine says, I agree that AEW has a higher ceiling than NXT, but it should, given that NXT is basically a glorified wrestling school. AEW is supposed to start to compete with Raw and SmackDown. Great point. And then Dave goes, Adam Cole and the UE, Keith Lee, Ciampa, Gargano, we're all working the same shows as Young Bucks, Page, etc. at the same time. So go back and watch those sloppy ass PWG matches. Were they fun and crazy and shit? Did they do crazy ass moves and hit the ceiling and fucking spot, invisible hand grenade, spot, flip, spot, point to Dave Meltzer? Yes, they did all that super fucking Mark shit. Absolutely, they did. Go back and watch how sloppy those fucking matches are. Not burying the boys. It was all before they became fucking TV stars. So it's not on them. And that's where you do that shit. The super PWG was the cool super indie. Yeah, the fuck it was. It was cool as shit. But guess what? That's what it is, a super indie that doesn't work in the mainstream. And those matches were sloppy.
Poor people don't like AEW.
I know you were there and people cheered you, Dave, because your friends put the shows on. But he goes, NXT TakeOver is and has largely been Reseda from 5 years ago. Oh, so does that mean AEW is currently, like, look at this, Keith Lee, Adam Cole, UE, Ciampa. Okay, so AEW is Reseda from 11 years ago, Dave, because that's not a good thing. That's exactly why the show's regressing, because you all are regressing, going back into this PWG shit. You're literally burying it. This is fucking Reseda from 5 years ago, 6 years later. And literally they just brought in Ciampa, and you have Adam Cole there, can never wrestle again. Keith Lee can never wrestle again, maybe. Just so unfortunate. AW's cursed, man, I swear. And it's because the Vecna curse. It's Vecna's curse, dude. It's sicko Dave Vecna's fucking curse. It's what it actually is, man. I'm fucking positive of it. So let me check in with chat and then we'll get into like our next little segment, I guess. JWT6577 for 5 says he was tricked by the cheering pub meme twice. 2 times did it trick him? Because you got to think that he like retweeted it knowing it was a joke the second time, no? It's just so fucking cringe, man. It's so funny. And then he sits there and is like, oh, these old podcasters and shit. You mean like you, buddy? And it's crazy. He dyes his hair so dark, and then it goes so gray so fast, and he's just killing the little bits of hair he has left on the top, like the follicles or like cells that reproduce hair, or however that shit works. I'm a scientist over here. And then like it fades so quickly, and then he looks like a ginger or something, and then he fucking... And then it starts going gray. Then he just dyes it black again. And then in a week, it's fucking like soy saucy brown or whatever. I don't know, man. Dude's just off his rocker. Who is UE? Undisputed Era. Been trying to find who it was with that song. Listened to a ton of Metallica these last 2. Phil loves balls. Yep. I meant journalist. I stopped listening to metal a couple years. Okay, you guys are talking about metal. Let's get back into this. So Davey talks about, where are we going to start here? Because we talked about the youngins already. And Dave Meltzer talks a little bit about viewership. Or we'll end with that clip. I love ending with the Jeff Lane fucking I love ending with the Jeff Lane Russo reaction. They drop like one a week. I swear it's perfect for us. I got to get Jeff Lane on a Dave Meltzer dumb moment of the week here coming up. Let's talk about TNA here, I guess. Let's get into Dave Meltzer talks TNA being number 2. He can't stand the fact that that's the narrative. Meanwhile, when people go, dude, shut up about AEW being number 2. Oh, but it is number 2. So then TNA holes, the TNA Nation are saying, dude, it's number 2. And then they all can't handle it. How dare you say it's number 2? Shut up. But Dave puts over the ratings a little bit here. Okay. So we'll give him credit for
the Impact did actually
Same.
held up surprisingly well. I was astounded, for being honest.
I would think so too. The thing is, when it comes to ratings of a show that's doing under 200,000 viewers, it's the margin of error is not like it's fairly significant, because the number of homes watching was down almost 20%. It's like 17%. But the viewers were the same. Even though the number of homes was down 17%, the number of 18 to 49s were down 25% from the first week. But yeah, viewers were down from 173 to 171. So it's a success. I mean, it's a success in the sense of it didn't go down as much as probably most people would have expected. It's
or as much as you hoped. No, I don't think people expected it to go down that much. Just if it hit like below 170, I wouldn't have been shocked. So maybe, I guess that's what he's being fair here. I don't want to roast him. I don't want to roast him for this one.
So that was a success. If you thought that the first,
but it's like he's making excuses. Like, yeah, it was successful. They didn't lose fans, and hopefully they start to build up and build interest again. They're showing they can maintain that number. Okay. And what is the narrative? And what did your fucking boy Phil tell you guys? Again, listen. The narrative has to be that they're beating Collision first. You go head to head with Dynamite, you get squished, even though Dynamite's like tanking viewers. What you do is you start kicking Dynamite's ass on your own day. But the narrative is that they'll beat Collision. So if Collision goes on a Thursday, then we can head to head or like on the same day compare the fucking ratings and see, and that will be really fun. But you don't want to go and then have it be like, oh man, but like they're catching up and here's how they're kind of increasing, whereas Dynamite's going backwards. Then you just have to fucking spurg out to make an argument for TNA. Whereas in these wars, which it is wars, NXT, AEW, TNA wars right now, with TNA, it's like if they just beat Collision, which has been on Thursdays and which is like AEW's B show, which again, it's all fair game because AEW compares themselves to NXT all the time, which is a WWE C show. And that's what gets compared. And when they beat NXT, they go, oh, we beat NXT, even though it's a fucking C show. Developmental, glorified school, as some people have called it here this evening. It's like TNA, the perception is it's kicking Collision's ass. AEW's B show. There you go. That's the narrative. It's not like, oh, well, it's had a slight increase in this direction, whereas Dynamite's gone backwards in this direction. You know what I mean? Because that's what Dave tries to do with SmackDown and Dynamite to compare them. You don't want TNA to be in that game right off the rip. You just want them to get W's. How do you get W's? You do your good premiere show. They kind of missed the mark on that. Their second show is way better. Why? Because it was just a fucking Impact. And that's all anybody, I think. That's all TNA fans wanted. People who've been more caught up and more like finger on the pulse of what's going on in TNA. Like I think more and more people have over the last couple of years. Plus it doesn't count the TNA Plus numbers, which they have a loyal fan base there. So if you want to play that game, Dave plays the max numbers. So by all accounts, TNA's kicking Collision's ass. That's the fucking narrative you want. Dave's being fair here. So I'll give him that.
Number was not a success. Then in a sense, you could say this number's not a success.
Yeah. So at the end, he just wants to go, well, I mean, yeah, you could say it's not successful just to try and like throw a little, here's how you could say it sucked though, if you want to. So he can't fucking help himself ever. And so Dave Meltzer talks about TNA a little bit here. So Yellowbone says, at the Yellowbone says, from 2002 to 2019, TNA was the number 2 promotion. Put some respect on their name. And it's true. And then Uncle Dave out here responds and goes, ROH and New Japan both surpassed them at points. New Japan did the minute they ran the first Long Beach show. Holy fuck, Dave, you're cooked. The minute they did the first Long Beach show, they surpassed them. I don't know about that. But maybe ROH, you could argue. There was a little bit there when ROH, you could argue, was maybe the number 2 compared to TNA. But this is like him trying to rewrite history and do, like, the perception is TNA in 2009 or 2010 or whatever, they did 2.9 million people. They averaged like 2.1 or 2.2 million people for that episode, peaked at 3 million pretty much to see Hulk Hogan. And they also they did millions of viewers a few times, I believe, right? They did over 2 million more than once, I want to say. Maybe I'm off on that. Maybe it's just shy of that, but around there. And you can't argue that's the number 2 at the time. So Dave has it now. He's trying to rewrite history and we've seen people, man. I've covered sickos who fucking come at me and they go like, oh, it was never number 2. And it's like, dude, yeah, like, I know you say that because Dave says this and you all just parrot shit and don't even ask Grok even. Like, that's the laziest thing you could do is just ask Grok. It's the easiest thing. We all do it. Even Google now. You Google shit and it gives you an AI answer now. So it's all just asking AI, even Google. And what the fuck is asking Google in the first place to find shit? That's like AI feeding you fucking info you want as well. So I don't fucking know, dude. It's all been AI for a long time. Beep, boop, beep. But yeah, like the easiest thing you could do is just a quick Google or Grok thing, which is what sickos would tell everyone. So that's not going to be my response to the guy. But it's like, just to say TNA was never number 2, because why do you say that? Because Dave's putting that out there in the universe. It's just completely untrue, dude. There was a long time where people looked at TNA as real competition to WWE and as if it could be real competition. And so speaking of real competition, Dave Meltzer, I think we'll do this Jeff Lane clip now because it's just topical to what I'm talking about now. But, Dave is making excuses for Grand Slam Australia. So not only are the ticket sales the shits, and not only do they not have TV out there, and not only was the last show the shits and fucking ended Buddy Matthews' career and shit like that because of a janky ass fucking ring, not only are all of those things true, but Dave Meltzer's making an excuse that people aren't gonna watch the fucking show because it lands on Valentine's Day. Because all the sickos and their fucking waifu pillows and the people they have chained up in their fucking basements. No, I'm joking. But like, for real though, they all got hot dates. Yeah, the wrestler that Andrade planted in the fucking crowd to take that picture with him has a hot date that night and won't be attending because she's booked somewhere else because she's a wrestler.
And so next week it's an eliminator match.
Or is it next week? I thought he was talking about Valentine's Day. Maybe I'm off on that. But
he beats him. He gets a title shot at Grand Slam Australia.
It's going to be a loaded up show on February 14th, which is
right. Yeah,
probably not going to be the greatest day for ratings either.
And he looks so disappointed. It's probably not going to be the best day for ratings either for AEW. He just looks so sad. Don't look so sad, Dave. God damn. So Dave Meltzer, though, I want to play this Jeff Lane clip and shout out the Brent, bro. Shout out. Listen, I want to shout out these two marks, Vince Russo Barrow and his bro, Jeff Lane Barrow. They invented juggalos. They invented professional wrestling. Bro, let me tell you, bro, hand to God, this Mark Dave Meltzer knows Nielsen doesn't know how to calculate viewership. So wrestling. So pretty much Dave goes out there and says Nielsen doesn't know how to calculate viewership. Like, he knows better than them. The guy who lies about pay-per-view numbers, the guy who's so bad at calculating pay-per-view numbers, he's so bad at calculating viewership that on the last show, we fucking showed that graph where the viewership, the pay-per-view buys for AEW are a fucking anomaly. They don't match. They do better conversion rates than the Attitude Era at its peak. It just doesn't make sense. And then Dave just blocked the guy, didn't even respond to him. And then Dave goes on his show after and fucking copes about it by saying he knows Nielsen doesn't know. Like, he knows better how to calculate viewership. When he can't even, he just has to lie about pay-per-view numbers and lie about invisible fucking max numbers that only he and BJ Bethel, I guess, have access to.
They had 107,000 viewers, 50 to 54, and I believe it was 111,000, 18 to 49. Okay, if you think about that, and there's a few things. Number one, it's a indictment on Nielsen, because I can just look at those two numbers and just go, completely ridiculous. It's
or are you just out of touch and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Could it possibly be that, Dave? Could it be how when you tried to own Netflix for faking numbers, people pulled your card on that and proved that if they were faking numbers, the way you broke it down was wrong, right? Because there's times where they go, oh, we had lower overall viewers, but higher overall watch hours and shit. So if they had higher overall watch hours, why would they go, yeah, but last week we had more total viewers? How's that working? When they just go, yeah, I mean, we had more viewers. Look, and the watch hours were up too. Like, Dave got exposed for that. Your pay-per-view fraud, your pay-per-view buys fraudulence got exposed as well. Okay. Your internal memos and reporting what the deal is on the WBD AEW side was proven wrong. The 185 million, 3 million a week has never been verified. Everything you've said, Dave, has been proven wrong. The success, the growth, where AEW's at, the viewership. We can directly look at shows that do, if AEW did 500,000, it would be in the top 10 of fucking Max, because we can look at other shows. Dave says, oh, Max doesn't release top 10s. Niccolo Piccolo's like, here's a top 10, buddy. Or here's what this show did. And it said it, and they're saying it was in the top 10. So they do tell you what's on the it's just, he's so full of baloney. And say, your eyes are brown. You're so full of shit. What is that? Shanghai Nights or Shanghai Noon, dude? Those fucking movies rule. I got to watch those. But anyways, here's Dave just coping. This is absolute fucking cope.
So you got this? Nielsen doesn't know what they're doing. Nielsen is giving you wrong numbers. Why is he saying this? Because there's as many people watching from 18 to 49 as there is just 50 to 54, which how long have we seen back when we had Disco on the show? The median age, 55, right? Yeah. Remember that? That was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So the 50s, that's your fan base. The young people don't really get into wrestling, but he's convinced himself that this can't be.
And they are more and more, but they're into WWE. And you see it in celebrities. You see it in how WWE's mainstream. Again, I've broken this down a million times. I'm done fucking repeating that shit. But WWE is getting mainstream, and wrestling in general is pretty popular. There's money flowing in it right now. AEW is going backwards, and Dave's just like, none of it makes sense. Every fucking observably, scientifically measurable metric that you all can look at that's actually palatable, that you can see and go, huh, and compare it to this. All of it just doesn't make sense. AEW's great. It's the best. It's number one. Or it's number two, admittedly, but only because the fans they don't get it. They're not showing up. And that's what Tone did too. I just don't think the fans understood what we were doing with Moxley. You're just bad at booking. That's all it is. Like, just admit the shit. And look at these guys all sitting here. Like, if you look at these guys all sitting here, they're like, Dave, you're cooked, man. And they'll have to sit there for a paycheck. For Ethan, a one-off payoff. Dave gave him $50 to be there today. Venmo'd him a quick fucking 50. And he's got to sit there and listen to this bullshit. Like, Dave knows what he's talking about.
True. So Nielsen is reporting incorrect number.
Nielsen, who spent millions and millions of dollars on the new system, by the way, is
a new system that's more accurate and has way more fucking homes involved. And it shows that all of wrestling isn't viewed as highly. So Dave can't even accept that part. It's like, dude, all of wrestling, all sports, like football and shit, and NBA, they're all like, dude, these ratings are fucking amazing. They love it. For pro wrestling, it's showing all of their ratings are down year over year because of this new panel system, but it's more accurate with way larger sample size or test pool or cesspool, maybe, you goddamn sickos. I don't know how they refer to it, and they invested so much in it and developed it for years, I'm sure. And Dave is like, they don't know what they're doing. I know better. Here's my analysis.
Poor people don't like AEW.
Crazy.
Tell Nielsen the system's flawed, bro.
No, Meltzer said he can look at these numbers and just looking at them tell you that they're wrong.
I'm the all-seeing eye of Raw, Brian. Oh, man. It's so good. So Dave Meltzer talks more about like where to book pay-per-views and shit and what people should be doing. And someone DM me this. And they go, 17:30 of tonight's Observer. Dave, if you're WWE, then actually the one thing you don't want to do with a big show is come right after a big AEW show on the same day on a Saturday afternoon before an evening WWE pay-per-view. And he also said 32 minutes in, if Rusev had played his cards right, he could have been a big star in AEW. Bro, nobody's a big star in AEW. You need to understand that. Nobody is. They know they have the smallest platform. No one gives a fuck. But that's sort of shitty to say. Like, they've never homegrown a star. But listen, the wrestlers who go there, unless, like, yes, is Joe a star? Is Edge a star? These guys who were in WWE and became stars, fucking stars. Yes, man, for sure. As far as like a star, like if they main event with Fletcher and Bandito, are they still going to do fucking 1,800 people or 1,000 or like 990 whatever people at that esports arena? Yes. So like a star for their cut, sure. But nobody's like blown up and done anything crazy. At the beginning, you're coming off the backs of Jericho, Omega finally being in America, the Bucks finally being in America primarily. And I know they were in America, but like primarily, like they're not just Nuge Ring of Honor guys, like on American television. You had Cody Rhodes' big return to TV. It was off the back of all of these, this big boom. They're in Hot Topic and shit, right? And the reason there was a boom is because those guys were going viral on the internet. Once you fucking put them on TV, the mystique just went away, and you saw what Tony's booking was. It's ass. And you see how everything was compartmentalized and they weren't really organized and weren't ready for the shit. It was garbage. It was just a glorified indie. So, and they just proved that. That's all it is. So at the start, there was a big boom. But as time has gone on, it's just less and less and less and less popular. What is there to cope over? Or how is Rusev a fucking bigger star? How would he have been a big star if when he started there, 800,000 people were watching the show and now 430,000 people watch the show? You know what I mean? Is that a bigger star or is that like a worse star and that's why he didn't get involved in that shit and you're fucking dumb? And Rusev was already a star and Tone wanted him to go get 50-50 booked and put over Orange Cassidy and Daniel Garcia. And he's like, I'm not doing that shit. Sorry. I'll fucking wrestle Andrade and fucking Hobbs and stuff, right? I'll do a meat match with Hobbs. I'm not fucking doing this goofy shit. And then he preserved his stardom, Dave. I'm curious because I don't think you know what a star is based off the way you buried Billy Gunn. So, and then Dave just saying, him and Bryan are stuck on this fucking, I told you, don't do a PLE on the same day as AEW. He's like trying to warn them. And why is he saying this? Well, he's just painting a sicko narrative. He's trying to call something that isn't there before it happens. So he's just creating a narrative. That's all he's doing. So he's creating this narrative of so that people will go and parrot and repeat this shit out there. And then when you Google, like, this is the problem too. If you Google search shit, Observer comes up, Fightful comes up, whatever. If they're all hating on the Fed or like leaking shit out, then everything's leaked out. If Dave is putting out this narrative and he's been the guy reporting on news for 50 years, so people go, oh, yeah, it's reputable, like a casual. Someone who's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, they might look up Dave Meltzer and then they might read this shit. Oh, it's a bad idea. It hasn't worked out for them. Meanwhile, look at the global numbers. AEW's global numbers don't touch WWE's global PLE reach at all. Period. We just got those numbers. Dave hasn't even made a tweet breaking them down or talking about them. He just operates on Nielsen's a lie, Netflix is a lie. So then when I operate on Dave is a liar,
Liar!
that's
Tell
not
us what
allowed.
You know, you goddamn liar!
All of a sudden, that's not allowed, and I'm just an asshole and a fucking loser for A-logging this asshole. Like, no, fuck you. Like, this is just flat out lies, dude. People have to undo the 50 years. There's 50 years of your bullshit I got to undo, Dave. 50 years of your shit I got to undo. In limited time. I'm not going as long as you, buddy, okay? I'm not pumping my bullshit out there as long as you. That's for goddamn sure. No. So moving along here, just on the whole WWE versus AEW narrative stuff and WWE PLE, we're just going to mix and match. So this will just be WWE, AEW stuff as it relates, just a little mix and match here. So Dave Meltzer buries the promotion for Royal Rumble. And so it's funny. This is hilarious too. Nobody else is going to point this one out either. This is me psychoanalyzing, Dr. Phil psychoanalyzing as only I can when it comes
just
to
in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So Dave is about to talk about how shitty the promotion is for the Royal Rumble and how shitty WWE's promotion's been for cards in general. And he's talking about, oh, they're falling into UFC territory where they don't even have to promote and they just whatever. So again, Dave makes the excuse all the time for AEW that, well, this show's promoted better. WWE promotes way better. It's all their promotion. They're promoting, their promotion, they're promoting. In 2025, the whole narrative for Dave was he promote like their promotion. It's just only he's responded to like, yo, AEW drew this much. WWE was just there for a live event, drew this much. And Dave goes, because of the promoting. He's chalked it up to that a billion times. We've covered it here on this show in PWT. So now Dave is going, oh, they're terrible at promoting WWE. And it's like, okay, so now why isn't AEW, why aren't they out there on the marketing trail and catching up? Instead, they're fucking firing their marketing guy and all this shit. And then they just fired their guy who does all their live event stuff and the video game shit as well. He just left the fucking company. So it's like, it's just so funny how, okay, the marketing's bad for WWE. Let's say, quote unquote, it's bad. Why isn't there a dip? Because they're fucking crushing it. Everything's firing on all cylinders. I know people don't like, they just think it's like, oh, you just love the Fed and shit. Yep. It gave me like all the best wrestling memories. And so did WCW and ECW growing up. And guess what? They own those shits. So, yep, I kind of like what they're putting out there. I'll fucking be the first to bury SmackDown. You guys got to listen to my fucking shows, right? If you want to hear me bury that shit or look at my tweets where or I put over AEW posters and shit all the time. And AEW does some good stuff. They hit up people to make posters and then they put out these cool like fight posters. I think that's cool. They do some cool stuff. I don't think they're partnering with like White Castles. I think that's all good. I think they're commercials of like where wrestlers work, blatant rip-off garbage trash. Or you're like trying to be the opposite of the old where wrestlers work. People just picked up on it. It just doesn't really, and then they fired that guy anyways. That guy's not with AEW anymore. But like, some of the shit they do is just completely stupid. Why are you fucking promoting the Rizzler and then you have Moxley getting impaled and Darby Allin like literally impaled with a spike bat in his back, and then Darby Allin's being drowned in fish bowls, and like why would you do that? That literally does. And then you have girls making out and fucking slapping each other on the ass with pork chops and stuff, literally like doing mashed potato spots and stuff. Like it's fucking cringe, man. That's like, or having MJF like fake wank off on the crowd when it's like, okay, so was the Rizzler on this card or not? Is that can you I don't know if you can do that in the same room as a child. I'm not sure if that's appropriate. And then you have Tony Khan going, it's family friendly, and then you have WBD emailing people back who've written in to Warner and shit, or HBO Max. They write back, yeah, no, it's not family friendly. Like they use gratuitous violence or whatever words they used. That might be the vernacular, the terminology they use, like gratuitous violence. We urge family parental guidance or whatever with AEW. But then Tony's, it's a family product. And you got guys like doing hypodermic needles and ladies doing death matches and shit, stapling vaginas and shit. And that's cool. Like if you want to be edgy, but like be that. Don't try and gaslight me and go, we'll bring the Rizzler in because we think it's going to get us YouTube views to stick them on the pre-show. When the Rizzler and them don't get YouTube views when they do their pod and shit on you. Like those guys are falling off too. Hey, like I don't know if Tone knows that. But anyways, man, here's Dave's assessment on the promotion. And it's just so funny that, again, like if WWE, they're promoting too well. Now they do this crazy Riyadh show that's going to be super well attended, and there'll be lots of tourism there as well because they're just funneling it in. And Dave wants to talk about the tourism of people going to Mexico to watch Mystico. And he goes, oh, people don't understand tourism. Okay. And it's like the tourism in Riyadh's crazy. People are going there paying a premium to see WWE. Every city they go, people are paying out the fucking ass to see these shows still. And maybe it is in UFC territory where they don't really got to try. It's just the brand itself will sell itself. But it's like, why can't you admit that earlier when that's the case, and instead of coping over AEW doing less than a house show in a city only because of marketing? Ooh. And then when I trash the marketing, I'm an asshole. No, it's fucking bad and corny. Don't just put up banners where there's WWE's doing shows. Like, it's cringe, you know? And then Dave reports shit like he wasn't at WrestleMania, and then he's like, yeah, people there at Mania were saying the crowd was really uncool and really angry and just hated AEW and shit. It's like, what? Like, why would you just make that shit up? He's always just talking out of his ass, and he can never just say, well, it's because it's WWE. They're the clear number one. They're crushing it. Their stories are on point. Everybody wrestles at the highest level. And yeah, the booking and the storylines are clearly fucking on point. And even the stuff they fall short on, there's enough good shit. The shit they fall short on is the exception. Whereas in AEW, the shit they fall short on is the rule. Like the stuff they knock out of the park is always an exception. And it's not a coincidence that the stuff they've knocked out of the park typically involves CM Punk. Cody Rhodes was doing good shit. Jericho at the beginning was doing good shit. MJF's done good shit, but again, with Jericho and with fucking, he's sort of resting on his laurels, I think, till he gets out of there. But anyways, I'm talking too long about this, but it's just funny to see Dave coping about promotion again. Like, why would this be a bad thing? It's good that pro wrestling and WWE is so popular that feds can pull up and on their name alone sell out. If you're a pro wrestling fan, Dave, truly, you should love this. Okay? You should absolutely love this. And you know the event's going to have shock. The crowd's going to go nuts. You know that some matches are going to crush it. Like AJ's going to crush it in a one-on-one with Gunther. He might even retire. Some tears might be shed. The Rumbles always rule every year. Sometimes the matches can be a little wonky, but if they, you know, hopefully they pull them off without a hitch and there's fucking some shock returns, maybe a couple legends, you know. Like, be happy for this. Why are you fucking miserable and always shitting on everything WWE does?
This is the weakest promotion I've ever seen for a Royal Rumble show in my life.
It was they had a few years with Vince there near the end that they did a pretty poor job, but this I think takes the cake.
I don't think it's weak. I think that they knew it's like a sellout and it's like this big Saudi event. And I think that the whole thing with the Rumble is it's just a draw automatically. So you sort of have to transition to that and you go, okay, look, I don't like how they announced all the people that were going to be like, they announced like, here's 20 motherfuckers that are going to be in the Rumble, but it's like, they're trying to get people used to the fact that we have stars, like we invest in these guys. We put them on Netflix and shit. Everybody we keep contracted to us is a long-term or 3 to 5 years, right? As Cena and Heyman and other people would let slip. And as your boy Phil's been saying forever before Unreal Daddy, but, at the minimum 3 to 5 years, right? But you're looking at like long-term investments and you're looking at like, again, you don't just bring people in. Penta's a great example. You don't just bring him in and he blows up right away. So you have him beat everyone and shit. You kind of still give him that build up, and you have Punk, Rhodes, Drew, Roman, Brock. Like you have just like right there. That's a crazy. If I could build a roster, you give me those guys right there. Hell yeah. We're going to the fucking moon. And then you have possibly like Jericho coming back. Penta's becoming a star. He is a star, he's a star on Netflix, to say the least. Say the very least. He's consistent. Penta's on the think about this, man. Penta went from being fucking just shelved just because to every week he's number 1 on Netflix. Really think about that.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Like Penta rules. But anyways, it's just like you have to transition into this, and what WWE's trying to do is they're trying to get everybody used to the notion that we have all the stars. Like we got 28 guys, and we might bring one legend back. Like don't get used to the Rumbles just being Vince would have the Hurricane come out, and then Cena comes out, the Hurricane comes out, Edge comes out, right? Like he's done Rumbles where it's just ridiculous the amount of surprises and shit like this, quote unquote, if you want to call it that. And then some years it works out where the Rumble has a bunch of them because the WWE roster, like in the past, there was a couple years where the roster was a little thin and there were like contracts up and shit like that. And now, WWE's open to more like one-offs, but you don't have Joe Hendry come in and like actually win the Rumble. Maybe one of these times. And maybe he's not a good example because he's officially in WWE now, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like they want you to get the last couple Rumbles have been consistent in that there's some shocks, but also here's our 30 fucking stars. Otis is one of our stars. You're going to get him in the Rumble. They want you to be used to that and that's why they're drawing so well, because everywhere they go, people want to see like the stars of Raw. It is really Vince put that into motion and did try to make it no one superstar is bigger than the promotion. But what Vince, I don't think, realized is like you can have both. You can have a healthy balance of both. I'm not saying Roman's bigger than WWE, but if he eclipsed it one day, there's a possibility with his Hollywood opportunities. So, The Rock is more famous than fucking the Federation itself, you could argue, but maybe not, because look at the YouTube numbers and shit. So who really knows at this point? But all I'm saying is that Dave just doesn't evolve with the fucking times, and he doesn't realize like, they work themselves into a great position where Money in the Bank's a draw, War Games a draw, Rumble's a draw, Mania's a draw, SummerSlam's a draw. They're just a draw. People trust will put on a good show, and WWE knocks it out of the park. Let's be honest.
I mean, they promoted so little, and then this preposterous storyline that Finn Balor can't get in.
Oh,
come on. Finn Balor can't get in is so ridiculous. By the way, did you hear about Javon?
He's in.
He declared during the commercial break.
Yes, that's his gimmick. He does everything during a commercial break, so nobody in this country can see it.
Yeah, but anyway, that's
great gimmick.
But Finn Balor can't get in after being in that great.
Yeah, so again, they don't understand that Javon Evans has appeal with youngsters, and he has appeal to like more of a youthful audience. Okay, guys? And so the stuff that goes international, what you're doing is you're building a good international base for the kid. And then at the same time, the commercials just get uploaded to social media. So Javon, they save it for the commercial, and then his clip goes on the Twitter right away, and his clip goes up here. Look what he had to say on the TikTok and the Instagram, because he's got appeal to people who are fucking using social media and stuff. Like, you don't even have to be a marketing wizard to understand things like this. It's just common sense. But Dave and them don't get this. They just can't, because you're fucking just old and out of touch, motherfucker. I'm not saying all old people are out of touch. As out of touch as my references over here. But Dave, these guys are just cooked, man. They don't realize like what the marketing strategy is here. They don't get it. They just think good marketing is like, okay, team up with the Rizzler and stick Orange Cassidy with him. Okay, yeah, team up with Superman and then have Orange Cassidy walk in and give a thumbs up to Superman. Fucking okay, team up with White Castle and Orange Cassidy's gonna eat a cheeseburger and pretend not to care. Like, it's not working.
World title match last week.
Dude, this is the go-home show for the Royal Rumble. It ended with Finn Balor laying out the world champion. Even though he's not on the show, he's not in...
so it's almost like an angle they're shooting. Like, how come these guys take kayfabe and the show like it's a shoot? Like, they pretend WWE's really doing a shoot. They pretend he's not on the show. So maybe he takes someone out and then takes their spot. Maybe he runs out and eliminates someone while not being involved in the match. Maybe the winner, who I think is going to be Jacob Fatu, goes after the WWE title, which it seems like he's eyeing up. And then Finn goes in the chamber and wins it and challenges and brings out the demon at WrestleMania and challenges CM Punk or some shit. Or it's like a multi-man or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe the chamber, they put the title on the line at the chamber even. No, I don't like that. I like the chamber winner gets the shot, last-ditch effort. But either way, why is that? They literally, this is a real TV show where they're trying to misdirect me. And it's like, what the fuck, guys? These two fucking bozos just have a real gripe with, like, being worked. They just can't stand being worked.
The Rumble.
Well, they should.
What?
Normally, if I would say normal booking, and they may do this, they haven't announced it, is they add Punk and Finn Balor to the Rumble card and make it a better card. I mean,
make it a better card. Ugh.
That's certainly...
They could do that, though. That's not a bad idea. I'll give Dave points, but yeah, I just think this will all result in so the Elimination Chamber last year was like winner faces the WWE champion. So I have a feeling this year it's going to be winner faces the World Heavy. And then I think Jacob Fatu wins this fucking Rumble. That's who my money's on, guys. I don't know about you all. Make sure you tune in Sicko Saturday, and we're going to watch that shit live together. The Rumble come together right now in Riyadh.
For a normal situation, the only reason I say they may not do that is because the Rumble's got 4 matches, and those 2 matches are going an hour each, so they really don't need a 5th match.
Yeah, we'll get some like celebrity interacts with Dom Mysterio or some shit. I bet. So Dave talks about WWE a little bit more, and he talks about Trick not being good in ring. And then he just goes, but his charisma, Bryan.
Trick's not that good.
Man, how many guys is he going to say aren't that fucking good on this show? Lex, how many guys aren't good?
I don't know.
Holy fuck, man. Trick is better than whoever Dave thinks is good. I guarantee it.
It's really becoming more obvious when it's on the main roster. I think the thing with Trick is that you got to keep it short. You got to keep it short because he didn't have a good match. He had he's having average matches at best. But his charisma is off the charts. And so, I mean, the whole thing is, you got a guy with that much charisma, you play to his charisma, and you don't have him in the ring for long periods of time, because.
Well, unfortunately, Dave, he's a fucking megastar, and he's about to be a megastar, and he's fucking in there working with all the top guys already. And he's in the WWE title division picture immediately, and they want to get that across.
That's, you don't let the match go long. It starts getting sloppy at the end.
In AEW, every match goes super fucking long, and he claps and is like, "Oh, this is amazing." And apparently that's the best show with the best wrestling. So now you're like, don't let his matches go too long. And why don't you just shut the fuck up, Dave? You don't know what works.
And just go short, make it an easy, simple match. Because that as a main event. Plus, it was in the main event spot.
Trick's everywhere. That's the one thing with Trick too. He has great charisma, Dave. He's always where he needs to be. His timing's good, and he's always where he needs to be. Is his selling the best? No. Is his is his fucking like the way he does his moves? Is it like the cleanest, smoothest, crispiest guy of all time? No. But yeah, charisma off the charts, can cut a promo, knows where to be, gets the pacing, can work with these guys, has stepped up to the plate already with all these big ass fucking names he's in there with. I'd be nervous as fuck, dude. He's been knocking it out of the park.
Followed the Ilya match, right? So that didn't help him either. So, but it wasn't like just technically, like he was good on in the four-way, but the four-way, you had awesome workers in that four-way. Everyone but him basically. But in that singles match with Priest, it wasn't that good. So, and the thing also to me, it didn't have much heat, and that's Montreal, which is a city like
dude, Grok Meltzer, like it's not even him, it's Grok's fucking. It's Dave's brain being taken over.
It wasn't that good. So, and the thing also to me, it didn't have much heat, and that's Montreal, which is
why does that always happen to him? I swear, the man's like a fucking bot. Like he's one of those fucking Chinese robots with like Meltzer's skin pasted over it. Like what the fuck, dude? Why does that always happen to him?
City like Toronto tonight, where you're usually going to have a lot of heat.
Montreal was hot with the whole fucking card throughout the whole card, Dave. But the thing is, like, you're not going to have a lot of heat with Trick because he's just started 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So you're not going to have a lot of heat on anything Trick's doing yet. And everything had heat in Montreal. They were going crazy for everything. God, it's just such a bad criticism.
Those two cities in Canada, really all of Canada, they're real good cities for crowd reaction when it comes to wrestling matches compared to the U.S.
Yeah, they just don't get, in Canada, we don't get all of the tippy top WWE shit all the time. So speaking of people developing though, like Bryan Alvarez and Dave even had it out. Trying Bryan and Dave fucking had a bit of a tiffy. And Bryan Alvarez says, actually, you have to look at reality and not just theory or on paper results. Fact is, with only a few exceptions, everyone remains in the exact same place on the card that they've been for years. Yeah, everyone's stuck in the mud in AEW. And then Dave Meltzer goes, yep, everyone except Bandito, Ricochet, Gates of Agony, Brody King, Hechicero, Clone, Fletcher, Takeshita, Knight, Bailey, O'Reilly, Swerve, Prescott, Willow, Windsor, Cameron, Storm, and Shafir. Okay, so Bandito is the exact same place he's always been on the fucking card in world title matches. And if sickos want to come and argue to me, but Phil, ROH world title matches aren't AEW world title matches. Okay, but the problem is that when I point out that none of these guys are world champions and I bring up Bandito and Takeshita in AEW, all the sickos jump on me and go, but Phil, he's an ROH world champion. He was literally just a New Japan world champion shit. So no, fuck you. Bandito is just in title matches randomly. Tag title, world ROH title. He's fucking fighting for the world title. He just fights for titles randomly. Okay, so he's in the same spot. Ricochet's in the same spot. Just because you invented a random belt, gave it to him, and now he's also got to work Ring of Honor shows, that could be a demotion. Just because it's a belt doesn't mean you're in a greater spot or position. A belt just being a physical thing that exists doesn't elevate you automatically. Dave doesn't understand that. These fucking video game sicko goober marks don't comprehend this. A belt doesn't automatically give fucking clout, you know? Becky Lynch has to come in and elevate the women's IC title, for instance. You can put it on Lyra or whoever first, doesn't matter. You got to put it on someone who can give the belt clout, and then from there, people can elevate it, or it can elevate people, depending. But it's what you do with the thing. So Ricochet, all he's done has been a fucking mid-card, mid-lower guy who's also in ROH, and that's all he's doing with that belt. Same spot. Gates of Agony. They were in a team, and now they're in a team with Ricochet. Same spot. No titles. They're not booked any higher or lower on the card. Brody King. Okay, maybe he just is challenging MJF now. And maybe, but he won tag belts with what's his face? Buddy Matthews and them, and the trios belts and all that. And then he's won a tag title with Bandito, and then now he's going after the world title. So maybe him, but after the one match, does he just go back down the card? I mean, realistically, he was just tag champ. He was tag champ his entire existence in AEW. So that's the same. Hechicero, what the fuck are you talking about, Dave? No one, Hechicero's sloppy in AEW, and no one gives a fuck. Like, literally, you are the only person who gives a fuck. No one cares about Hechicero. Maybe in CMLL they care. No one gives a fuck. Clone is in a better position than he was last year. First off, he's had probably less than 10 matches. Secondly, no one knows who the fuck he is either, and he's just a random mid-lower guy who hasn't even had a lot of matches, who's a knockoff version of another guy who had a bunch of matches on Collision, who's also in the same spot. Fletcher. Okay, maybe since he came in, he was like a backup tag team guy. And then, yeah, he's in the conversation of like, I would like to see Fletcher in the world title picture. He's been there. Okay, you got one. Takeshita. Yeah, he's in matches that I guess like, again, New Japan world champ, and then like fighting Okada and like being in the mix with Omega. Like, okay, if those are your top guys, yeah, he moved up the card. Like he came in kind of like just kicking mid guys' asses, and then he's just slowly kind of worked his way up. So I think Takeshita is one of the only guys who they have not botched in AEW. Really, he all of his shit's been pretty good. Knight, Kevin Knight, dude, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey are lower now. So Mike Bailey had more clout before AEW, when he was having bangers in TNA and in other places with Will Ospreay and these other guys. Tony took him and just made him a tag guy. He's literally like, he's diminished himself to be there other than his bank account. O'Reilly, the fuck are you talking about? O'Reilly is the exact same as he's been other than an OG Ring of Honor. Was O'Reilly a world champion? He's always just been like a mid tag guy, upper mid, if you really need him to be. Tag guy. He's not elevated. Mox didn't do shit. I know people go, Mox put these guys over and elevated them. No, he didn't. Where's the rub? Where's the boost? What? Okay, he put him over. And then what? Mox keeps doing the same shit, and then he just wins the C2. And then turns babyface with no storyline. Just turns babyface while his crew are still heels. And then does these open challenge title eliminators. It did nothing for nobody. It didn't do anything for anyone. O'Reilly is in the same place he was a year ago. He's hurt. Okay? Swerve. Yeah, Swerve is now like in a tag team or whatever. Or I guess they abandoned that, and then Hangman's in a trio. So yeah, Swerve is like a he's like a upper guy now, like upper mid guy, I guess. He just got taken to the limit by Kevin Knight, like, who's a tag guy in AEW. You guys know what I mean? Like, no one gives a fuck that they have these singles bangers. They've been presented as tag guys. So you have a tag guy taking your former world champion to the limit. So Swerve's lower on the card than he was before. Mark Briscoe, yeah, he Well, I mean, he wasn't allowed on TV. So, yeah, he's up the card higher. Willow, no, she's down the card. She was featured way more prominently and prevalently, and she was like a factor, like week to week. You're hoping to hear Willow's theme hit, and now it's like, oh, Willow's back, and you're in a 6-woman hardcore match. You know, she's worse. Windsor, Dave, literally was on Dynamite, challenging for the world title, immediately gets a push. Loses the world title. ROH is now forming a tag team with Jamie Hayter. So that is the worst example ever. Cameron, so Harley Cameron. Yeah, she's further up the card, for sure. She's further up the card. Storm and Shafir. Shafir is not. She's nowhere near. She's just the same thing. She's always come in and just been like there, kind of around where she's always been at, you know? She's never really gone above, like, unless Moxley's around the world title, that's the only world title she's around. She's not elevated in any way. She's does this garbage shit, even though she's a real shooter, and she's still not that great at wrestling. And yeah, definitely not. And then Storm, nah, she was world champ, and she was more over even on her journey to the world title. And then when she had the world title, and then she bounced the world title a couple times, and then now she's in the tag division, Dave. So she would objectively be lower down the card, because the tag titles don't mean more than the fucking world title does, or even the TBS now, does it? So no, I would say Storm is lower down the card, and that's what fucking Brian's saying. You're in the exact same place on the card. And yeah, so Dave completely, I just smashed that to oblivion, Cree. And he's completely fucking coping over that and just talking out of his ass. Moving along here. Speaking of Toni Storm, Dave says this is the first show I've seen where Toni Storm came out and they didn't go crazy. And yeah, unfortunately, like, she's sort of sullying the gimmick, and it's, I mean, the character's out there, and I appreciate her going out there and like being entertaining, and she did something different and it worked, but she needs to go back to like the OG timeless thing, or I don't know. She's not helping Mina, and like they're just in a tag team now, and Mina's cool by herself. She could be cool in a tag team as well, I guess, but it's obviously not working so well. And I don't know. I feel like they had heat with Mina as well with the whole Blake and Toni Storm shit, and then they never really capitalized on it. Like when Blake left, Mariah May, it should have just been Toni and Mina can slide right in and carry that along and like continue shit that was working. Like they, hey, I'm here for the girls making out and shit. I'm all for, you know, but you know, because there was more to it than just that. Not Monet when she's like doing food spots every week is fucking just dumb, but like there was more to it than that, and they were trying to tell a story. And you know, Toni Storm, I said it a bunch of times. If you go back and listen to those reviews, like Toni Storm's more entertaining just standing in front of the camera in black and white and doing funny stuff and like just doing things than like 90% of the show is. I would just watch a whole Toni Storm show of her just doing shit in the past, and they're not going crazy for her. Now, if you guys remember in a Sicko segment on one of the recent PWT episodes, I forget which one, I covered how this one dude, I think Righteous Reg, was saying like, man, we got to start blaming the fans. They don't react to women. Like Toni Storm got no reaction and shit. Or unless it's Toni Storm, they don't react to any women and da-da-da. And it's not that, buddy. Okay? In WWE, you can see firsthand how Roxanne went from no reaction to reaction. Julia went from reactions in NXT to fucking no reaction on the main roster. We've seen this happen. Zelina Vega, fucking nobody reacting to a goddamn thing she does. We've seen her get some of the biggest pops ever in Puerto Rico. So it's just the booking, guys. You don't blame the fans. You don't say, oh, they just don't like women's wrestling. Nope. Women are hot as fuck, and they are, some of the women are some of the best wrestlers. Io Sky is one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's just a matter of like how people have been booked, and exactly what Bri was saying. Like everyone's stuck in the mud, and Toni clearly has regressed But Dave's like, Tony's a better spot in the card than she was. She's in the exact same spot. I guess Dave's right on a technicality where I guess they all, if you want to count people being further down the card than they were before, yeah, I guess they're not in the same spot. But anyways, Bryan again holds Tony Khan's booking accountable here to some degree.
I got to say this one thing. This is the first show I've seen when Tony Storm came out and they didn't go crazy. I think that this tag team has really hurt her. You know,
well, it's not just the tag team, but like she gets beat up every match. When the match is over, it happened again here. Marina comes out and chokes her out. I mean, they're booking her like a mid-card tag team wrestler is what the problem is. And people are seeing her now as a mid-card tag team wrestler.
That is correct. That is correct. She is not being treated as special.
So then when Bryan said what he said before, Dave, and you quote tweeted it and said, and then named Tony Storm, you were literally lying and admitting you just felt it yourself. You just felt it yourself right now because you are just admitting that you just said you just spewed a lie out of your ass cheeks when debating Bryan like a week earlier.
And so the people don't react to her like she's special anymore. And, you know, there are very few people in this company that have been able to get over as being special, you know, like a real superstar. And
because of the booking,
she was one of them, you know, who, you know, was elevated greatly. And
apparently Tony Khan was hands off on all that booking. And then ever since Tone's been saying, no, I'm hands on the Tony Storm booking. Look at where she's at now. Coincidence? Is that
The
a
best
coincidence?
guys, Tony Khan.
I don't think so.
I mean, she's still ahead of what she was a couple of years ago, but she's way down from what she was, you know, 4 weeks ago, even, let alone like 3 months ago.
So then when Bryan said everyone's stuck in the mud like a week ago, or like in the same week or the week before you recorded this clip, he was fucking Bryan's lying over there. Or you're lying. Like, come on, Dave, man. You just exposed your own fucking lie right there to everybody. It's clown behavior, man. And so speaking of the bad booking, you know, these two talk about Andrade and Stars, because I think Andrade, during his first run in AEW, he didn't do shit to elevate himself. I think the second AEW run he's doing way better at, like, they're using him as a star. And I think Tony lost Andrade and he realized, like, fuck, man, I fucked this dude up and he can really wrestle really fucking good. And he was on SmackDown and da-da-da. And so, you know, companies are willing to put up with a lot of bullshit for Andrade. Maybe not a lot all the time, but it's just funny how Andrade really smacked Guevara. And now he's like one of their main top dudes. CM Punk fucking bumped a table in front of Tony Khan and Tony feared for his life. And Tone loves Andrade so much, who physically actually hit a guy backstage in AEW who got fired from WWE for being wild, right? Sosa, bang. And he gets signed while still under a WWE contract, and Tone is just willing to fucking do anything to keep this guy employed, which good. I like Andrade, I always have, but it's just funny to see the contrast, like the favoritism in the backstage as well. But is Andrade babyface or heel? No one knows.
Is this guy a babyface or a heel?
It doesn't matter. Well, I mean, he's a heel if he's with Callis.
Well, hold on a second. He spent the first half of this match doing everything in his power to get people to boo him. Like, he'd take off his shirt and he's going to throw up, but then he won't.
Yep.
And then he spent the second half of this match doing everything in his power to get cheered. Yep. Took off his pants, took the picture with the lady. I'm like, well, what are you doing, brother?
He came off as a babyface to me.
Yeah, by the end of this match, he was a total babyface.
He was a total cool babyface. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And that's fine. If he gets over as a babyface, cool. That's good. At some point, you got to figure it out. I mean, AEW, it's not, you know, they're going to book what they're going to book anyway. I mean, as far as like, you know, babyfaces can face babyface, heels can face.
So Tone's a fucking terrible booker.
Heels. It's
not that you can't have heels versus heels, babyface versus babyface, but it's like, It's typically an exception to the rule, and there's a reason for that, and there's a reason things are going backwards, and we can directly point to it. And because Tone just doesn't give a fuck, he's just booking for himself and Twitter sicko bots that all mass deleted yesterday or the day before.
It's not a big deal, but the crowd will eventually decide, one way or the other, and they'll go with it. So if he's playing both ways, then what can you say?
Both ways, B.
Whichever the crowd does. I think the crowd's going to like him, though. Cool.
The crowd does like him. You don't have to think that. That's what they are doing.
Cool look and everything.
Cool look and everything. The same fucking look. He just wears gloves now.
But I like the presentation. It was far superior to his presentation anywhere I've seen since he left Mexico. I never really liked his WWE presentation.
In NXT, Andrade fucking ruled. But again, Dave's going, since he left, they're pretending this is Andrade's first run in AEW. And like Andrade, his first AEW run wasn't with the Matt Hardy family faction or whatever the fuck. Like, come on, bro.
In AEW, it was fine.
Of course, it was fine in the past when he was just a random guy. Like, do you hear how he words shit? His presentation everywhere sucked other than Mexico, where he was a big star. In AEW before his first run, it was fine, even though he was just like one dude in a group of like the Matt Hardy family collection or whatever the fuck it was called. And then he bought the faction from Matt Hardy or some bullshit. It was the worst booking ever. Fuck's sakes, man. Dave is such a sweeper. So they talked about the finish of AEW Dynamite, and Dave Meltzer. It's so funny the way he explains this. The idea is all the top guys want the world title. No shit, Dave. No fucking shit. No shit. That's what they want. Oh my God. The idea is like, and also Cody Rhodes just did this same shit, but I'm not going to knock it because here's the problem though. And I quote tweeted this. I was like, this is the most surface level elementary shit. And Dave's explaining it like, well, I'm the idea and I love this, Brian. Imagine that the top guys want the world title. Imagine that establishing the division and letting people know. And like making a TV show about fucking here's your world champ and he's like under duress right now because motherfuckers all are trying to challenge him left, right, and center. Imagine that, Dave. And not only did they just do this exact thing with Rhodes and then Drew won. So it's like, okay, repeat. And I know that like they did it in WWE, but Tone watches WWE religiously. So I know that that's what happened. But at the same time, I can't knock it too bad because that's always the point. But my problem is this goes without saying. It's like saying, oh, yeah, all the hockey teams want the Stanley Cup this year, guys. Oh, man, those fucking Avalanche, they're crushing it. They want the fucking cup this year. It's like, no shit. Every guy should be trying to be the world champ. That's like the thing that goes without saying. Otherwise, what are we doing this for? And then when you establish people are in the United States, like Tama Tonga goes, yeah, that U.S. title. So then we go, oh, okay. His eyes are on that prize right now. Like, okay, he's in this division right now. He's eyeing that up. And then we know. And in AEW, it just feels so fucking random. And so they do a good little piece of business throughout the show. Again, listening to PWT, I've been saying this forever. They need to know. It's just like good old wrestling shit, old school wrestling shit, or just what WWE does now. It's not even old. It's what the fucking Vision does every show and Rhodes does every show. But like you introduce your champion to start the show, or at one point, oh my God, the champion's here tonight. And then fucking later in the show, he gets confronted. And then later in the show, he's like talking to this guy. And then another guy's like, what's up? And then, yeah, so we're doing some WWE Hollywood shit here. Dave loves the ending. He loves how the show ended. They ended on a bit of a, oh shit, what's going to happen next week? Dave loves it. So they're WWE-ing it up for the weekly TV show, which when I say WWE it up, I mean like, to steal from O'Shea Jackson Jr., Hollywood it up, right? Like you got to make the shit. It's a weekly TV show. So again, if you want to be a fucking super indie and have people wrestle till they collapse, Tone can do that in his basement. Tone can do that in his backyard. Tone could do that. He could team up with Mr. Beast and do a YouTube video. If you collapse, The first wrestler to collapse and die wins $5 million for their estate, right? Like, you can just do that if that's what you want. That's some indie shit. Like, you can go ahead and do that. That's fine. But if you want to say we're the challenger brand and we're on TV and we're mainstream and we're up there and we're a TV show that's actually like playing the game, like, you've never even been playing the game. You guys ain't been playing the game since Punk came into the company. Like, they were, when Rhodes left, they stopped playing the game. A little bit they were, because Jericho's in there in the mix. And then when Punk came in, they're playing the game again. And then he fucking leaves, and then they've just been lost since then. And it's more than just like, the wrestling business. It's more than that. It's like, okay, you're a weekly TV show. Like, why are you taking up network space? Why do we got to hear about key demos and Dave spurging out about $3.6 million per week that nobody can prove if you're not going to treat it seriously? You're not, when we say WWE it up, it doesn't mean like copy everything they're doing, like pull a TNA and try and do the WWE on Netflix premiere, it doesn't mean do that. It just means like do a good weekly dramatic TV show. And yes, you can have a couple banger matches. Penta does it every week, but it's like, you got to save a bit of it, right? Carmelo Hayes goes out there, Dragunov, every week they have bangers, but you got to save a bit of it for the PLEs. Less is more in that regard. I've always said AEW would benefit from this. Completely off TV, do a YouTube show if you want, do every 3 months, one big pay-per-view, do 4 a year, and they're like these super cards, and you work with WWE, go, hey, and maybe they won't allow it. Maybe they go, no, fuck this company still. Okay. But you work with every company. You're the fucking Tone could have facilitated where he's the super indie that does sell pay-per-views. Like, yeah, dude, 200,000 people tune in to fuck us. Yes. That's a Bonnie Blue pay-per-view or whatever her name is now. 200,000 people tune in to fucking watch us do this super indie where we get all the people from around the world that you wouldn't see and put actual dream matches, because that's kind of what All In was. And that's kind of what the direction they were going. And it's like, if you're not going to do the weekly TV thing, which they did good early on, man, with like Jericho shit and Rhodes' stuff, they were cooking, man. They were. But yeah, as of now, like, Dave is putting over this WWE cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger, but just like a ooh type ending they did and theme that they had throughout the show. Or not even a theme, but just like these are like the beats to the story. MJF's getting confronted. These are the guys. There might be a 4-way down the line. They might have a specialty match. Maybe Tony Khan comes up with his version of the Elimination Chamber or something. Who knows? But yeah, Dave really liked this. Go figure.
I really like the finish of that show. They're trying to make it to where the idea is that all the top guys want the world title, and I think that that makes for just a more interesting thing. I really like that.
A more interesting thing. Yes, the storyline is more interesting, Dave.
Half hour of the show was awesome because that match was great, and I wasn't expecting Andrade to win, but I thought that there was certainly a chance of it, just because it's a cross up, and they like to do some. He's liking to do cross ups more now.
Cross ups. That's a new Dave. It's a cross up. What's that? Is it like a swerve? Yeah, it's like a swerve. A cross up. He's doing more cross ups now. Okay, so he's actually trying to fucking book some shit that gets people interested. And he sees that people are behind Andrade, and he's actually running with it for once. And he's actually positioned Omega and Hangman. You have guys in line for MJF. For once. And it's not this fucking shitty devil bullshit. Or you want to talk about bad knockoff WWE. That devil shit, bro. Oh my God.
And it was one that would have worked, and it did. Although at the same time, I kind of almost think that, they had so much momentum with Kevin Knight that maybe they should had Kevin Knight win and put him in that spot instead.
Oh my God, no. They had such good heat with Kevin Knight. No, stupid. In one match, the crowd went crazy for him versus Swerve. There's like 1,000 people there. No, Kevin Knight's a tag guy. All they did was diminish Swerve with that match.
That would elevate Kevin Knight like crazy if he was one of those guys and he was facing Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega and Andrade should have a program, because if you remember, Andrade laid him out all those months
Yes, he
ago.
did.
And Grok fucking Meltzer.
And they
Which I
have
don't
not
think has been
mentioned-
mentioned.
It has not been mentioned at all. And they're wrestling next week.
Yeah, it hasn't been mentioned. They're wrestling next week. Terrible booking and promoting. The worst promoter. Way to promote your promotion and tell the story of fucking Andrade and Omega gets attacked, and now they're wrestling next week, and let's just not touch on that or anything until it like.
And when Andrade won, they absolutely should have mentioned that, this is not just an eliminator match or whatever, in this tournament, but a grudge match as well.
Yeah, like have Kenny cut a promo on him. It's the worst booked show. That's why they
really
don't.
like
That's why they don't do that shit, because it's terribly booked. Just admit that part, Dave, and then we can all fucking move along, and then we'll stop calling you a fraud for a day. So Dave Meltzer again, and I called this again. I called this before it fucking
This just
happened.
in, we
I
have
knew
confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So last year's or whenever season 1 of Unreal, what did Dave do? What did we chronicle here on the show? Him and Bryan cried because they saw the promotion. The clip from the show that they used for Unreal for season 1 was them setting up the I Show Speed thing in the, or who was it? Was it I Show Speed in the, I completely forget. One of these influencers was in the Rumble, right? And he goes into, and then what Unreal does, like, is it showed in the trailer them, like him going into the backstage and then being like, hey, Speed, you want to go out there? And then he's like, yeah, sure, I'll go out there, or whatever the fuck, Akira can't wrestle or whatever. And they showed that as part of the promotion for the Unreal show. And then Dave got worked by it, like by a commercial. And they got triggered about it, and they're like, that's clearly the phoniest thing ever. And then when you watched Unreal season 1, it showed you that how they set that up, and that was a phony thing that they set up, and how they planned it and pulled it off and all this shit, right? You guys remember that? And then Dave Meltzer, when him and Bryan were talking about it further, and Dave was talking about Unreal's full of shit, and, oh, this is just preposterous and blah, blah, blah. And I called it out. I said, Dave didn't watch it. You can tell by the way he's talking about it, and you can tell by the way he hasn't corrected himself on any of this shit. He just watched people uploading the clips on Twitter. 100% true. Okay? Now, Dave, and then he told Bryan. Bryan's like, did you watch it? And he's like, well, I saw some of it there, the first, 30 minutes. And it's like, dude, it's an hour-long episode, and there's like 8 episodes or whatever. So you didn't watch any of it. You just watch clips on Twitter. And I maintain the same thing, that WWE is put on in the background for Dave while he writes about AEW and other shit. And he just half pays attention, I guarantee. Just the way he talks about it and doesn't know ever what he's saying. We're seeing clearly. And so, again, Garrett, my quarter Mexican friend, Bryan, Dave talks about Unreal Season 2, and I called it out. I was like, watch, Dave is not going to watch it again, which you would think this would be Dave's favorite fucking show, because he's such a backstage enthusiast and he knows the ins and outs, and he's the student of every aspect of this game who's never taken a bump or doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. And you would think this was the greatest show of all time, Dave. It's bookmarked #1 in his fucking library, ready to go.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Because fucking he loves the backstage stuff, and he's a mark for that stuff. It's like me, dude. I'm into like old Hollywood. I like the Chevy Chase doc. I'm into these fucking actors, and I like writing and shit. I'm one of these fucking, I'm into comic books. So when they drop fucking docs or whatever, I'm into that stuff. I'm into the fucking MC. I go and see everything. I make sure I'm up on my shit because I fucking enjoy it, right? It's shit I enjoy. You would think Dave, who's like the backstage know-it-all hound, would like be eating up every second of the show. And let's say it's all fake and not real. Okay, Dave, then fucking dissect it. Watch every episode, take notes, and explain how your backstage expertise. It's funny because I didn't see you back there, Dave. I didn't see you one time back there. So let's see how your fucking expertise breaks down how it's all fake and phony in this fucking reality show then, Dave. You'd think he'd be all over this, but he isn't. But I guarantee you he watched AEW All Access and clapped like a little fucking baby with keys jingling in front of him the entire time.
I actually like what I've seen, you know,
And he says, I like what I've seen. Dave, you didn't watch every episode. You didn't watch every episode. They even split it up and they're doing the Gina Carano, Brian. They're doing the Cena stuff this summer.
for the most part. I mean, I saw the Ron Killing stuff, which
Ron Killing stuff. So the stuff that went viral on Twitter. From what I've seen, I actually like it. The Ron Killing stuff. Okay, so you skipped ahead 4 episodes? That was like 4 episodes in. So you just watched the shit that went viral on Twitter. Called it out. I fucking knew this was going to happen. I called it. And when they got triggered by the season 2 trailer, I called out that they're getting triggered by shit that is fucking dumb and they should just watch the show. And then Dave didn't watch the fucking show. Brian and then Dave buried it. It's all so phony. I mean, those whiteboards, geez. So the whiteboards, so all the fucking Twitter sleuths posted the whiteboards and the truth and Road Dogg stuff. And that's the only stuff you know about the show? Okay. Yeah, that's not fishy at all. There's over 400 people watching this show right now. Dave Meltzer, Dumb Moment of the Week, across X and YouTube. YouTube.com/@ProWrestleClips. Hit like and subscribe. And I guarantee you that they all saw the Road Dogg stuff or the Ron Killing stuff and the whiteboards too, Dave, okay? Because that's the fucking only thing everybody saw, you know?
I enjoy Ron Killing's came off so great. I did enjoy that. I'm trying to think what the other stuff. The Seth Rollins stuff.
I'm trying to think of the other stuff. The Seth Rollins stuff. So you mean the stuff from the trailer that you and Brian got worked up about? So the Seth Rollins stuff was great, and the Ron Killings and the whiteboards. All the stuff that means you didn't have to watch the show to know about it. Crazy how that works.
I saw a lot of that.
A lot of that. What does that mean? So you watched the episode. I saw a lot of that stuff. Dave, you know that the show isn't just like multiple episodes following all the same people. Like, yes, when they introduce Trinity Fatu, they might go back to her later in the series, but it's not like every episode is typically themed across 2 wrestlers or one scenario in particular with like one wrestler. So yeah, they introduce Lyra in an episode and then maybe later they focus on her a little bit more, but like Dave understands that, right? I saw a lot of that stuff. So you saw the Truth episode or you just watched the clips on Twitter? Exposed.
I've seen the whole thing. I mean, I still, when I watch it, feel it's like this, I feel like it's produced by Paul Levesque for Paul Levesque. I mean,
no, it's not. It's a huge hit on Netflix. It's a massive success for Netflix, and it's a show produced for casual people or people who really like the behind the scenes. This is the E! True Hollywood fucking. You guys remember those? The E! True Hollywood docs? True Hollywood stories. I fucking loved those, man. So it's for people who are into that sort of thing. It's like for really hardcores and for like casual motherfuckers who like drama and also it's for people who like the sports docs that see the coaches running the players and and even girls like that shit. Girls like these cheerleader competition shows. You're seeing more of those pop up where it's like the drama between the girls so that's what it is. It's showing the real life of the wrestlers and like the coaching behind. Dave, of course, Patrick Mahomes would endorse him and he'd be a top sports reporter. And he doesn't understand this at all.
But I like the show. And it's interesting to watch the different people.
That's why they call it a Netflix sports series as well, as you guys can see on the graphic, because it's for the people who like those coach shows and shit. I've heard rumors that like that show is one of the top things that they got out of this WWE deal from Netflix is like this show crushes it. I don't know how true that fucking is, but they broke this season up into 2 sections and the next section doesn't come out till summer and it's all focused on Cena. So that's obviously going to do numbers too.
At work in the office and their little roles and everything like that. And
their little roles. It's like people in the office and their little roles. That's how Dave looks at, how cute these guys do in their little roles. Meanwhile, Tony, the head booker, writer, creative, runs the Jaguars. All these guys in their little roles. Dave, you fucking sit there and fucking talk shit on your couch and phone into your own show and are balding. That's what you do, okay? They're little roles. They're running a public multi-billion-dollar fucking conglomerate, enterprise, multifaceted, and all forms of media fucking entity, global entity. And their little roles back there, you know, managing these shows that draw millions of fucking dollars and millions of fans and these superstars who make millions of dollars. You're a fucking clown, buddy. And what's your little role, Dave? Coming up with 75% off this month only on The Observer. And then next month, I know, 50% off this month only on the
like that. And, you know, people can look at it and I think they can see the weasels and the non-weasels. You know what I mean? So I think that,
yeah, I'm looking at it right now, dude. I see the weasels. We see the weasels and the non-weasels. The weasels. Why are you calling these? Paul Heyman would punch you out. Why are you calling him a fucking weasel? Why are you calling fucking Triple H, who will punch you out, dude, if it came down to it? Why the fuck would you call them any of these guys weasels? You see the weasels. Who's doing anything weaselly? What you're doing is literally weaselly, Projector Dave. They're just all back there having creative meetings and shit. Like,
in that sense, you know, you can look at it and there's stuff that you can see, you know, that's interesting.
Yes, it's a TV show, Dave. There's stuff that you can see on the TV. Yep.
I mean, the big one obviously is just how often they change plans.
So that's a good thing. How often they change plans. Dave's trying to pat himself on the back. Dave, all it proves, yes, everybody's always known that WWE changes plans all the time. Okay? Now, where it's a problem is when Vince is ripping scripts up hours before. But yes, a month out, they changed the plan for WrestleMania. 6 months out, a year out, the WrestleMania plan changes depending on people's lives, injuries, ideas, what gets over on TV and what doesn't. Yes, things change. It's ever evolving. It's live. It has to. Okay? Just because Tony Khan quickly scribbles out a card in his hotel room 3 days before a show, and then he quickly asks you if it's a good card, and then he tells everyone, quick, fly in. I need you all at this TV. And then he does the show. It doesn't matter. He has short-term shitty plans. How much they change plans? Because I was right about the stuff they erased off the whiteboard. And I've exposed this. Pure and simple. Whoever is Dave's designated stooge is just that, and they just tell him shit. Because when they were filming the show, that's not when Dave said the plan for Mania is this. It was like right before this show comes out, Dave is saying shit, and then you see it on the whiteboard from like a year ago. Dave's saying it now, but is like things are changing and shit. Dave, once they erase shit off the whiteboard, then you get it leaked to you, and they make you look fucking stupid. And you're trying to pat yourself, boy, they changed so much plans. Yeah, that's what you do for pro wrestling. That's what happens on movies too. Okay? That's why actors do things like they get it written in their contract. They can't change the title of this movie or whatever the fuck, because studios come in and change a bunch of shit all the time. It's called making good art.
You know,
and some of it is hit and miss. Some of it is the shits. WWE's operating, firing on all cylinders, clearly. Yeah, there's a couple things. Kiana James and Julia, that shit sucks. I totally understand. But for the most part, they're clearly making it work. And you're like, oh boy, they sure change a lot of plans. Yeah, because when Rollins blows his fucking knee out or shoulder out, you got to change the plan, Dave. And then they go and leak to you what the old plan was, and then you report on it matter-of-factly, extrapolate a bunch of bullshit that doesn't exist, and pretend it was factual or something you heard. And then go, no, they changed plans. I'm never wrong. It's terrible, man.
Oh, and Bruce, of all the guys, you know, I mean, like he was, plans change, you know, whenever they've changed plans, and I would say it, you know, he's make this thing, and then you're watching the show and you're seeing these lineups, and man, those plans, they change a lot more than I say it, that's for sure. So
no, Dave, that's those plans, they change. What plans? There was like fucking a couple cards people went, oh look, Oh, look at this. Like, come on, man. There was like 2 pictures went viral where it's like, oh, so they were planning Roman versus this guy, and they change more than either. Yeah, Dave, because what they're showing you on Unreal, you're seeing like the first week of their ideas, and then like 3 months later, and they jump all over time. Dave would know this too if he watched the show. The show in and of itself, they jump back in time. They have the graphics with the calendar where they go, okay, here, now we're back at Raw, and then here's the build to Saturday Night Main Event, and then we're back here. It's just, he needs to just watch the show or shut the fuck up.
I think that, that kind of exposed something right there.
Exposed what? That they changed plans on the wrestling show. Yeah. Oh, man, can you believe it? The football team changed plans. They were going to go out and run these plays, but then they played their backup QB, and the guy's throwing long bombs on us, so we can't just blitz their fucking starter like we thought was going to work. Oh, man, like, the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Who gives a shit? Anyways, though, so and then Dave back in the day would say it was a problem that they plan things too far out in advance. That's like old school Observer. He's like, oh, Vince plans it out way far in advance, and if it's not working, they just like rough their way there and shit, and now the plans change, and it exposed them. No, you just exposed you didn't watch the show, Dave. That's literally all it exposes. So the last thing tonight, okay? Dave Meltzer gets mad at JD from NY. Okay.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hit the like button, all over 400 of you. What a great turnout for DMDMW. And make sure you're with us Saturday for Sicko Saturday Royal Rumble watch along. But JD from NY, JD says, the fact that Trey Miguel was brought back to TNA on the second show of their new AMC deal after being fired from AEW after a week shows you the WBD excuse they had the dirt sheets run was complete and utter bullshit. JD listens to PWT, confirmed. Nobody there was screening Trey Miguel, and if AMC doesn't give a shit, I doubt WBD did. You've all been lied to. Capiche? And so Dave Meltzer goes, actually it confirms it. But you'd have to have a brain to understand that type of stuff. So it confirms, so AMC and the CW don't give a fuck. And potentially USA and Netflix, if WWE really wanted fucking Trey Miguel, he would have been if they wanted him to have been before. So none of them care, or at least we can prove AMC and fucking CW don't give a shit. But WBD cares after Tony Khan said WBD wouldn't care if Jay Briscoe was still alive, leading right up to that shit. Doesn't make sense at all. And it confirms what? It confirms that WBD execs didn't want him around. And so the people that are getting ready to ditch AEW almost altogether. The Discovery, which is the low part that Netflix doesn't want at all, that AEW belongs to, that no one cares about, and Netflix is about to absorb, the WB part, they all cared so much that they kept him off TV. That doesn't make sense, and it doesn't confirm it, because you're a fucking redact. How does that confirm it? He went right back to the TV, to TNA and the other TV network, went, oh no, he's not problematic. And then that confirms it somehow, or does it make it look more like Dave because you're fucking stupid and you're projecting about not having a brain? Does it make it look more like they're lying and using the WBD thing as a cop-out again, which is what people said they did with Jay Briscoe? And then Tony, again, Dave doesn't study or learn the business. He doesn't learn ever. He doesn't study and learn as much as he lies and says that he does.
Meltzer Inferno.
So if he studied and learned, he'd studied his son, Tony Ron, and he would know that Tony recently said, right before the Rascals came to the company, that nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say. Nowadays, WBD would not do that to Jay Briscoe because he would just pick up the phone and call Zaslav. So then why did they do that? And again, I'm not Jay Briscoe, RIP. I loved him. Fucking incredible talent. But he said, in my opinion, this is my opinion, he said worse shit because he used like violent rhetoric, which again, I'm not trying to, it's in the past and he apologized for it. And he clearly did better. So that's what's important. With Trey, he didn't use violent rhetoric. It's just some dude who was being homophobic. And then Trey Miguel responded and was like, "You're gay and ugly and people don't like you." And was like, "You're probably a closeted gay dude. Burn." Like, that's what he threw back in his face. And I think Trey Miguel, that's not as bad as what Jay said. Just, that's my opinion on it. Okay. Not to speak ill of anybody, but, and I think it was bullshit for both of them to be left off. And I think WBD was always an excuse for Tone. Always an excuse for Tone. But this just confirmed it for me. But then JD goes, "Did Tony text you for a tweet to go out at 3 a.m.? So it was at 3 a.m. as well that he responded. Well, I guess 3 a.m. JD's time is like what? Midnight? Yeah, 1 a.m. or whatever. Dave's fucking time, because isn't he in the Pacific? But anyways, JD goes, "Did Tony text you for a tweet to go out at 3 a.m.? Actually, it proves the opposite, Dave. If WBD made the call, explain why AMC, a competing cable partner, had no issue putting Trey Miguel back on TV immediately. Either WBD didn't care or AEW made the decision. Why don't you ask them, Dave?" If WBD forced this firing, AMC would have cared. They didn't. AEW did. Everything else is just you playing shield for Tony Khan again. Yeah, true that, dude. Just a sweeper and a glazer. And that's proof of it. We completely smashed you to Obliviacree, Dave Meltzer, this week.
Oh, my God. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we roast Dave. That's why we will never stop roasting Dave Meltzer. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer dumb moment of the week. He got cooked. We cooked him. He's melted. He's schmelting. He's done. He's cooked. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause to the PWT universe. Like 420 of you guys, 420, smoke them. Speaking of Trey Miguel watching, thank you guys so much. Yushin FX, a member for 7 months, says, "It's me. I'm the stooge." It's me, Austin. It's me all along. I'm the stooge, Austin. Yeah. Yeah, guys, I got to get out of here. I'm going to watch TNA on replay. Appreciate you all. Royal Rumble Saturday. We're going to be live for that. And until next time, be good. Take care of each other. Be good to each other. And drink lots of water, okay? Peace out, folks.
Oh, my God. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon
this
show.
before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it
No, I'm not-
might have done well because
I'm
it went
not-
on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God! It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win, just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.